Camera's a little off there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody from around the world. Welcome to our special edition of the Mini Web Expo. My name is Dennis Braslot, and I'm going to be your host today. I am a licensed immigration consultant, and I've been practicing now well over 27 years. I am based at our head office here in Canada, where spring has sprung a couple days ago, and with spring, we got 10 centimeters of snow last night. I think some parts of Canada got 20. So that's just our weather and what we appreciate. We're going to walk you through today about different aspects of how you can migrate to this wonderful country. I come from a family of 9 children. My family is the oldest home building firm, born and raised in Canada. Near Toronto is where I'm from. And I grew up in our family business of home construction. From that point, I became a real estate broker, and I did that for a number of years before I joined an immigration firm in England. I moved to United Kingdom in 1995 as an Italian citizen. As you can see, there's 2 flags on the bottom, the Canadian and the Italian. I have both citizenships, Italian and Canadian, and at that time, I was eligible to work in the United Kingdom. I then went over to our Dutch office, and I spent 2 years in Maastricht, the Netherlands, before going back to the United Kingdom in 1997. In 2003, I sold my interest in the company, and I came back to Canada to reestablish the Braslot Migration Group. And I've been solely practicing Canadian immigration ever since, and I am a specialist in this. So when you are looking for assistance in coming to Canada, you do have to work with either a lawyer, a licensed consultant, or you have the right to try this on your own. There's nothing saying that you can't do that. Canada, you are looking at the second largest country in the world, and everywhere on that map that you can see I have been to, with the exception of the territory of Nunavut. 10 provinces, 3 territories. We span 7.5 time zones. So don't kid yourselves. Don't think that it's going to be nice to live in Toronto because you have a brother that lives in Vancouver and it'd be nice to see him on weekends. It's a fair bit of travel you're going to have to do. But every province and every territory is completely different and distinct, and you have to know which is the best area for you to go to. Where you want to go is probably going to be up to you. It's not going to be a problem. But we're going to find out later today that some of you might need a job in order to enter my country. And in case that's the scenario, you might have to start in a different province. As I mentioned, I'm Italian. My grandparents immigrated from Italy many, many years ago. And the way they had immigrated makes me an Italian citizen, even though I was born in Canada. So I do enjoy 2 passports, Italian and Canadian. And I am lucky to have a copy of my grandfather's papers, of which in 2 months, these papers will be 100 years old. You can see he came on the 20th of June, 1923, at the age of 22 years old. He came in on the SS Julio Cesare, a very famous migrant ship, the Julius Caesar. Some highlighted sections. Number 6, object of going to Canada was to establish oneself. 100 years later, that reason hasn't changed for a lot of people. Money in his pocket upon arrival was $25. There was monetary questions back then, and that was the exact amount of money you had to have in order to enter Canada. Medical questions at the bottom at number 27. Tuberculosis, no. Any physical defects, no. So that's my grandfather on my father's side. My grandmother on my mother's side came up from the United States. And she came in 1918, 5 years before my grandfather. And all she had to do was register with the police department. 1918, this is all she had to do for her immigration. So this is, my grandmother came from where Justin Bieber was born, okay, from Stratford, Ontario. So I married Debbie, and Debbie was born British. Her family immigrated to New Zealand when she was 2 years old. I hope everybody's been hearing me. It just said my microphone got turned off. Have everybody been hearing me up to this point? Please. Oh, thank you. Okay. Thought we'd have to redo the whole thing. I married Debbie. Debbie was born British. Her family immigrated to New Zealand when she was 2. She has both passports, a British passport and a New Zealand passport. We have 2 boys, Massimiliano and Alessandro. They have all 4 passports. They are Italian, they are Canadian, they are British, and they are New Zealand citizens. Lucky little devils that can pretty much live and work anywhere they want for the rest of their lives. Okay. Now, I've always liked that photo. They've said, Dad, update this, because Max is actually 23, Alexander 17. This is us tearing down their tree fort during COVID, because they were no longer using it in the backyard. As I mentioned, you are looking at the second largest country in the world. And before I go into us, I want to go into you. So in the chat room, everybody, I've seen this morning people coming from all over the world, but type in there. If you haven't chat, put where you're coming from. I know we got a lot of people from UK. I saw someone from, I think, Zimbabwe. Trinidad, Jamaica, Wagwan, Jamaica, be glad for day. Where's everybody coming from this morning? Oh, and Sarah, bless you for giving the housekeeping earlier when you said about the agenda. So thank you very much, Sarah, for putting that out there. Has everybody received an agenda? Okay, you should have received this by email unless you registered in the last 24 hours. You should have received that. Coming from the UK, Brazil, Jamaica, Scotland, Pakistan, Southwest UK, Somalia, India. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's good to see everybody being here today. And we're going to walk you through. Now, what I would also like to know is this your first webinar with us, or have you done this before? First, second, third, or fourth time? Let's see what we've got here. First, yes. And for those that are watching on Skype on YouTube later, unfortunately, I don't think you can see all these questions that are coming up and the answers that are going on there. Okay, perfect. Excellent. So let's go to a poll, shall we? And what I'm going to do is, let's bring this up. On the screen, not in the chat room anymore, on the screen, I've got two questions here. How long have you been thinking about immigrating to Canada? Over 5 years, 1 to 5 years, 6 months to a year. You woke up this morning and said, what the heck, let's move. Or number two, how many times have you been to Canada? Okay, over 5 times, 2 to 4 times, 1 time. Don't type in the chat room. You've got to do it on the screen. So let's give this a round there first. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I'm going to close off this shortly. I've got to do some housekeeping over here. So I'm getting confused because I've got 2 screens now. This has never happened before. And by the way, while you're still voting, for those that have been to Canada, I do have my Tim Hortons. So life is good this morning. And I've got one of our colleagues who's going to join us later saying he's not received anything. Okay, polling's going to close in just a second, so make sure everybody's got their answers there. Closing the poll down, ending 3, 2, 1, and we're going to close that. So let's see what we've got the results on screen. So the results are in. How long have you been thinking about moving to Canada? We've got it pretty split between over 5 years and 1 to 5 years. Some of you are thinking 6 months to a year, and 2 people woke up this morning and said, what the heck, let's move. That's not a bad problem, but how long it takes you to come to a decision is up to you. But a decision is something you must come to. You can't be sort of pregnant. You're pregnant or you're not. You immigrate or you don't. The rules and regulations can be in your favor today. They might not be in 6 months. We've got rules and regulations changing all the time. We have a new policy announcement coming out this week, but that will affect people who are in Canada, we believe, more than anybody else. Okay. So where you're thinking about, it's up to you. But how many times you've been to Canada? It is the most popular answer is most of you have not been to Canada yet, and that's fine. Some lucky people have been over 5 times, 2 to 4 times, or 1 time. So fantastic. It's good to see that a lot of you have been here before. So let's get back to here. So a little bit about Brazil Migration Group and what we're all about for your first timers. We have 3 separate divisions in the company that are going to walk you through your new path to Canada. We have a relocation division. This division is set up completely to help you with your tax cards, your medical cards, your kids going to school, getting things organized just in the day-to-day routine of your life. We have an employment division. As I mentioned, some of you will need a job in order to get a visa, and others will be able to get a visa first and then be able to find a job afterwards. But this is going to be important. Also about your licensing, registrations, what will you have to do when you get to Canada? This division is very important. Our most important division is our visa specialist. Without the visa, nothing else is going to happen. So we have a dedicated team that work completely on making sure you have the right and proper legal visa to come forward. So who are we? Well, I have 3 managers. I probably have the best managers in the world. Helen Brereton, who will run all the visa department. Donna Vellucci, who runs the careers and relocation. And Amanda Morgan, who is our office manager, taking care of everything here. And we've also got your team that's going to be working for you. And you're going to see country flags because this is their nationalities as well. So they've got 2 passports, or we've only got 1 staff member who's only Canadian. But everybody else does have multiple passports. And we've had 2 new staff join this week. Unfortunately, we don't have their photo for Dahlia and Sarah. But welcome to our team and welcome to your team. You're here today to hear from experts. And that's what we are, is experts. So I'm going to introduce you first, expert number one, and that is going to be my office manager, Amanda Morgan. She is our moderator today. So everybody in the chat room, that's who you're going to be dealing with, that's who's on the back end there. We do offer concise 20-minute topics on the Canada You Can Go series. The next ones will be the 12th and 13th of April. It goes into a little bit more detail on the visa that we do in the mini webinars. And by all means, they're free. Go to our website and register. You'll see overview of all programs. So we talk about everything. Family categories, PMP, and studying in Canada. And the next day on Thursday, the 13th of April, we will talk about how to get a job, work permits, business opportunities, express entry, and how all the programs tie together. We do offer these expos. We have full expos. They're about 5 hours. And we've got these mini web expo, which is today, which is about 2.5 hours. And we go through what you're going to see today and videos about all the different places in Canada. Go to our website. We also have some comical videos made by our staff and some of our clients of why you should move to Canada. So by all means, if you want a little chuckle, go and do that. Helen and I and Donna will use an awful lot of abbreviations and jargon in our industry. So by all means, for those that want a copy of today's slides, you can request it at info@braslogroup.com. Don't put it in the chat room there that you want one, okay? But you're going to have to put in there that you'd like a copy of the slides, and we'll email them out to you either later today or tomorrow. We are your partner when it comes to migration. You do need a strategy, and the strategy has to be perfect to you. There's several different ways of actually coming to Canada, and we're going to be able to pinpoint the best way possible for you. Finally, with our clients on the last Monday of every month, so tomorrow night, we do host a private client webinar, so just our clients, and we give them the inside tips, what's going on with immigration, and obviously dealing with our clients on a personal basis one-on-one. We've been doing this an awful long time. I've been doing this forever. I love my job, and I've been able to help people from all over the world. This is a great place to be coming to. I'll never second guess that. I've been fortunate enough to live in the United States, Great Britain, the Netherlands, and obviously Canada, 2 different provinces here. So, chat room now. Back to the chat room in the bottom right-hand corner. Why are we looking to immigrate? What are some of the reasons why you want to come to my country? Let's put them in the chat room there now. Give me a chance to get my coffee. Someone type better life, job opportunities here and there starting to come, better life, better quality, good future, better life, stable economy, improve my life. The women, good answer. UK is not necessarily the best, it's knackered. Okay, right, better life. I'm in Canada since 5 years. Go to university, good job. Okay, excellent, people. The reasons why you want to go to Canada are personal, but you're going to see you're not alone. Okay, I've been doing this 27 years. I host seminars live, in person. For those that have been in the UK, I was there doing the Canada Live shows last month. Was it last? No, it was this month still. We're still in the same month. The reasons why you want to go over there: lifestyle, family, outdoors, whatever your reason is personal. It's up to you. Okay, but make sure you have the right reason to come to Canada. There are other factors to consider, and you've got to look at lifestyles, cost of living, opportunities, the education system. And fortunately, we do rank quite highly, okay, in a lot of these areas. You are looking at a country that can be completely different from where you're coming from. The lifestyles are different. We are an outdoor people. We have 4 distinct seasons, okay, 4 distinct seasons. You will get a cold winter, okay, with snow, but it's going to be a dry cold. You're going to get a bloody hot summer. Spring and fall are going to be quite nice. Our sports are different than an awful lot of countries around the world. You know, baseball, basketball, football, obviously our main sports over here, but in Canada, religion is ice hockey, okay? So that's what you're going to have to get used to there. A lot of people don't realize famous Canadians. 1/4 or 25% of LA is based on Canadians being there. And we're very, we like to be not shy. We're very quiet in promoting our nationality, but when we are Canadian, we're very proud about that. When you look at size comparison, well, on the map, I've put UK and I put Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we had to do the magnifying glass for Trinidad and Tobago. People, it's a large country. You know, don't kid yourself. You know, where you want to go is going to be up to you, but we're going to help guide if you don't have an area set in mind yet. When you look at the economy, we are part of the G8 of nations. Canada and the United States are each other's largest trading partners. $2.5 billion a day across the Canada-US border, okay? Education system, we ranked 5th in the world overall, from preschool all the way through to college, university. It's excellent, and it's free up until you go to university. Healthcare is free in Canada as well. It's a national healthcare coverage, and private healthcare is available, but not for faster or better treatment. Taxation's decent, okay? No one wants to pay income tax, but we're not going crazy in Canada either. When you look at a comparison, we've just picked up UK. The after-tax median family income is $93,800 in Canada. That's pretty damn good. Okay, World Happiness Report, I don't know why we slipped to 9th. Business rank, we're number 1. And when it comes to a free public health care, the NHS is absolutely brilliant when you look at free health cares. But we actually rank 4th in the world compared to the United Kingdom. So I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to give you a video on Stereotypes in Canada. It's a catchy tune. I've got to play it now because some of my staff, it'll just get in their head for the rest of the day. So sit back, relax, watch this, but pay attention because I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to see famous Canadians. You're going to see Canadian inventions, stuff you didn't even realize. So everything in this video is Canadian. And we'll see you in just a minute.
Timmy's and hockey, syrup and bacon, Molson and Mounties, petrol can stations, throwing on some cheese and gravy on top of our fries. That's a poutine. And we wear our plaid sweaters when we walk amongst the northern lights. Rockies and prairies, oceans and lakes, other than winter, all the seasons are great. Brushing off the snow a little longer than we'd like. But you won't hear us complaining, 'cause that just wouldn't be polite. No, man. 'Cause up here in Canada, the air's clear, the weather's adequate, we all cheer. We're pretty passionate, and everybody has a pet polar bear and a moose. Yeah, up here in Canada. Celsius kilometers, prime ministers and provinces. We maybe say it different, but we always keep our promises. We said we'd win the gold back in 2010, and we did. But because we're so nice, we'll let you win every now and again. But not too much. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beards. We think they're fabulous. We don't fear if people laugh at us for wearing 6 pairs of long underwear. And 2. Yeah, up here in Canada. Basketball, telephones, wonder balls and hockey, snowmobiles, ketchup chips and even walkie-talkies, peanut butter, garbage bags, the mighty foghorn. Just a few things that you can thank us for. Shatner, Carey, Myers, Gosling, Reynolds and Reeves, Candy Short, Michael J and all of Schitt's Creek, Celine, Shania, Adams, Bieber, Bublé and Drake. We're sorry about Nickelback, yeah, that was a mistake. We're sorry. We're sorry. Yeah, we're sorry, eh? We're so sorry. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beer and our cannabis. And each year, we all get taxed a bunch, but everybody gets free health care. And a goose. Yeah, up here in Canada.
Okay, we're back. So let me give you an overview of all the immigration programs that are going to be available for each and every one of you. You are going to be dealing with visa and legal issues. So these are kind of dry subjects, but they're very, very important because this is going to help determine the pathways you're going to be able to do. You're going to have to go through applications, not necessarily paper anymore, online, but you're still going to have to go through everything step by step. The categories that Canada does offer, in a general sense, are family categories, provincial nominations, temporary classes, business, economic, and humanitarian compassionate grounds. Unfortunately, we can't be specialists in everything. We do not deal with humanitarian or compassionate grounds. If this is something that you think is of need to you, I will put it in the chat room a little bit later. A colleague of mine who specializes in this type of category, but this is one that our company actually doesn't deal with. So family categories. Should you be in a relationship with a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, you're going to be able to get access to come this way. If you have children under the age of 22, they're going to be welcome to come with you. And we'll look at parents and grandparents are going to be able to come to Canada. Provincial programs, territorial programs break down. There's some subsects there. And these are different, what we used to call backdoor opportunities to be able to come into the country. Temporary classes is exactly what that word means, temporary, okay? This means a very limited time, be it a visitor visa, a work permit, or a study permit. You have a finite period of time you're allowed to be in my country. Business opportunities, we're going to be looking at different ways you can come in this way, intercompany transfers, partnerships, new startups. And the bulk of the majority of people who are going to come to Canada will be through an economic category, skilled worker, Canadian experience class, and skilled trade. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is, this is the evaluation worksheet. If you have not done this before, then let me just get this up and running. If you've not done this before, it's very invaluable to you. And I believe we've had a couple of people here do this with us before. Sorry, I'm having grommets this morning. Call to action. Let's get this here. Press here. And let's go. There, at the very top, you're going to see there's a green bar. It says press here. And this is the evaluation worksheet that we're going to go through with you. Okay. And this is the details we need to know about each and every one of you. Page 1 is going to talk about your just your details. But on page 2, we're going to go into your education, your work experience. Page 3, we're going to ask about your finances, your money, your relatives in Canada. And page 4, we're going to talk about your partner. Now, when you press here, it's going to bring you to the link. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but there is a discount available, 56% off, and it's only available for the next 48 hours. So do not fill in the form on the back page here because that's going to be charged full price. The discount is 49 Canadian dollars. It's a massive discount that you can actually have. But in order to get this discount, you're going to have to use the word, it's not here yet. So it's, there we go. March 49. That's what how you get $49. So when you get to the section that asks for a discount code, you need to put in March 49. We're going to talk about this 2 more times today. So if you missed it now, don't worry about it, but we're giving you an opportunity to get the link at this point in time. When you get to the website later, you're going to see here, that's where the discount code goes. I don't know if my mouse is on the screen, but insert the code March 49 here. Make sure you apply coupon and update the basket. Make sure you only pick one, and you're going to be getting that. So for everybody coming around the world, it's going to be about 29 quid, $35, 33 euros, about 53 jam dollars, about 240 TT dollars. This is going to be your evaluation and your private meeting with myself or with my colleague later. We're going to send you out a report to show you how you're going to qualify. We're going to go through all the programs. Whether you've thought about it or not, this is what we're doing, is a full evaluation on all the different opportunities you can do. Let's see. No, I think a couple of people here have done it before, but no one's put it in the chat room there. I think it's quite invaluable. So you've got to remember, people, when it comes to doing your immigration to Canada, we're human, okay? And everybody's looking for fast, good, and cheap. Well, you can't have all 3. You can have 2. If you want it fast and good, it won't be cheap. If you want it fast and cheap, it won't be good. And if you want it good and cheap, it won't be fast. We try to make sure that you get the right way to do it for you and your family, what's going to be the best way of going forward. So this is what becomes important, is this private consultation, to sit down with you and yours to go through everything step by step. For those in the United Kingdom, I will be back in the UK, I believe, in about 3 weeks' time. So all kinds of time to get your evaluation to us. And we'll meet in Glasgow, Birmingham, or London, I believe, are the areas I'm going to be going to, or come to the office here in Montreal. For those in TT and those in Jamaica, we'll be down soon. and having our private consultations with you there. So as we've talked about, if you've watched or seen the agenda, we are going to be highlighting provinces throughout the day. So what we're going to do is go to our first province, the province of Alberta, only because it's alphabetical. And let's take a look at what it looks like out there. And we'll see you guys all in just a minute. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this.
So close your eyes and see me go old. Feels to chase a breeze. Hold your eyes up to the trees. Have you ever seen the sun jumping into a stream? It's really something to see.
Welcome back, everybody. And now we're going to start diving into our individual topics. And as I mentioned before, we do have experts from all over the world, and we are experts, plain and simple. And I would like to introduce you to expert number 2, Helen Brereton.
I'm not sure how I feel about being expert number 2.
Well, you got to be at the beginning of the webinar to be expert number 1.
No, okay.
And I didn't even call me that either. Okay, so that was Amanda. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
How's my eye look?
It looks okay from this distance.
Okay, I felt like I got something in it last night, and it's clear now, but I just keep feeling like with the bright lights in the studio right now, it's like, so I don't know if you were at the beginning, but we got 10 centimeters last night.
Woohoo!
Slush, all slush. And I believe Donna, who can confirm or deny later, got 20 centimeters in Nova Scotia.
Okay, well, you enjoy your early spring snow.
I will. And I'll leave you be, and I'll talk to you a little bit later.
Alrighty, thanks, Dennis. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever we all are today. My name's Helen, and I'm the Visa Processing Manager here at Braslot Migration Group. So I've been working in immigration for over 20 years now, so lots of experience helping people migrate to Canada under all the different visa categories. So like many of our staff, I've got dual nationality. I am British, but I did move to Canada and got my Canadian citizenship. So I've got my Canadian passport as well. So Dennis and I are both licensed with CICC, the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. So just a word of advice, if you are going to get any advice or have someone represent you with an immigration application, do make sure they are registered with CICC or they are a Canadian lawyer, just to make sure that you are protected and being represented by the right people. So I'm going to look at the family class and PMP categories briefly this morning with you. And both these categories cover the whole of Canada. So wherever you're looking at moving to, listen up, because there could be opportunities for you. Now, what we're going to do first is look at the family class category. Bear in mind that even if you've not got any family in Canada at this time, it could be that if you get your permanent residency status in Canada, you could be the family member sponsoring your family in the next few years. So even though it might not be relevant right now, just bear in mind that it certainly could be in the future. So under the family class, the people who can sponsor their family members are Canadian citizens, Canadian permanent residents, and persons registered in Canada as an Indian under the Canadian Indian Act. The sponsor has got to be at least 18 years old as well in order to sponsor their family members. And who can be sponsored? Well, it's really limited as to who can be sponsored to Canada. The main category is sponsor your spouse, partner, or dependent children. Under this category, a spouse is your married partner, but you can also sponsor your common law partner. So that would be your partner that you've lived with for at least 12 months, or a conjugal partner. So that's a partner that you're unable to marry or live together for legal reasons. And you can sponsor dependent children up to the age of 22. So as soon as your dependent children, as soon as your children turn 22, they're no longer considered dependent and they must qualify in their own right. Category 2, sponsor your parents and grandparents. This program is a really popular program. It gets oversubscribed every year. So the category is you've got to be a Canadian permanent resident or citizen, and you can sponsor your parents or grandparents if you've lived in Canada for at least 3 years and you've met a minimum level of income over that period of time. You've got to declare your income tax over the qualifying 3-year period to ensure that you meet that criteria. And the third category is sponsor your relatives. Relatives is a little bit vague there, but the two main categories here are going to be you can sponsor your orphaned brother, sister, niece, nephew, grandchild who are under the age of 18. So if you've got an orphaned family member, potentially you can sponsor them. And the other category is, we call it the lonely Canadian. So basically, if the sponsor doesn't have any other family member they could sponsor, so they've only got one family member who meets the criteria, and they don't have any family members already in Canada who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents, then they can sponsor their one remaining relative, hence why we refer to it as the lonely Canadian. So really, that's a really brief overview of the family category. So you can see it is very limited as to who can sponsor to Canada. So next, we're just going to look at the provincial and territorial nominations, something completely different from the family category. Lots of people always ask us about the PNPs, the provincial nominee programs. So we're going to look at these briefly today. All the provinces and territories in Canada have got their own immigration programs where they can choose their own criteria in order to nominate people to move to their province or territory. Quebec's highlighted in green because Quebec isn't a provincial nominee program. It's a completely separate immigration program that Quebec has, highly reliant on having French language skills. Now, unfortunately, because each province has got a number of different programs, we're not able to go through all of them today because we'd be here for the next 2 hours looking at each of them. So over the next few slides, you're going to see the provinces and territories listed and also the names of their programs that they've got. So here we can see BC, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and the immigration programs that they offer. Now, you'll see a lot of common themes through these. So when you see something that says skilled worker, those generally are categories whereby you must have a skilled job offer in that province to proceed. If you see entry level or critical worker, that's generally a lower skill level job offer required. But you can see BC there, they've got separate programs for healthcare professionals and IT programs. I think nearly all the provinces have entrepreneur or startup visas. So for people who are interested in having their own business in that province, they've got programs. But most of the programs are going to be for people who've got job offers in the province or for students who've attended college in that province. Now, I mentioned Quebec. Quebec has got its own program there, but you must have really good French language skills in order to look at qualifying through the Quebec program. Ontario also has French programs, but they also have other programs available as well. Again, linked to having job offers, having studied in the province. But they've also got programs where they can select people out of the express entry pool, which Dennis is going to talk about a little bit later on. And Manitoba, there's skilled workers overseas, education stream business investor. For Manitoba, you're looking at having a connection to the province. So if you've got family and friends that already live there, that can certainly support your application. Heading out into the east, Newfoundland and Labrador, again, you're looking at entrepreneurs, students, the international graduate, skilled workers and express entry skilled workers. New Brunswick, similar programs available there. Prince Edward Island, critical workers, as I said, that is for people in low skilled jobs. And skilled workers is for people with higher level skilled jobs. Again, international graduates. So if you're thinking of coming to a study program in Canada, just be aware that the province that you move to would be looking at helping to support your permanent residency application by having these programs available. Nova Scotia's actually got a student program for entrepreneurs. So if you've studied in the province and want to set up your own business, there's a special program there in Nova Scotia to support that. Heading north, Northwest Territories and Yukon Territory, you can see, again, it's going to be linked to having job offers. Critical impact workers, skilled workers for applicants who have got job offers in those territories. But again, they've also got business programs. And Yukon's got a new Yukon Community Pilot Program where they're targeting specific communities within the territory. So that's a really brief overview of the provincial nominee. But what Canada also offers for the Atlantic provinces is the Atlantic Immigration Program. So this is a program specifically for the provinces of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island and Newfoundland and Labrador. And this program was introduced a few years ago to try and make it a little bit easier for the employers in these provinces to recruit foreign workers and to support their applications for work permits and permanent residency. So you'll hear us talk about later on in the program, labour market impact assessments, LMIA. And you may have heard about these. These are generally approvals that employers need in order to recruit a foreign worker. But under the Atlantic Immigration Program, that is not required. It's a different program for the employers to recruit foreign workers. And the program then supports a work permit application and a permanent residency application. For other areas of Canada, we've got the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program. So this is, it's a pilot program because it's a new program and Canada will be assessing how successful it's been before making it a permanent program. And this allows specific communities in Canada to select migrants to move to their province. Again, you're kind of looking at having a connection to the community. You can see the communities listed there. And really, if you've got a job offer in that community or you've studied in that community, then potentially you can apply for permanent residency under the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program once you've been approved by the local community. So it's a two-step process whereby you apply to the community first, and all the communities have got their own qualifying criteria. And once the community has approved you, then you can proceed with your permanent residency application. So you can see that it says expanded next to a number of those communities. So that indicates that Canada's happy with this pilot program and they will be looking at rolling it out in further areas over the next few years. So those are the provincial nominee programs and the Atlantic Immigration Pilot and the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot programs. Today we are going to mention about the confidential evaluation worksheet a few times. This is an assessment form which we can offer you, whereby you can provide us with your details and then we can assess which visa categories you will qualify for. We'll do the assessment for you. If you click the red button there at the top, you will see it will take you to the form, and there's a 56% discount on the form for the next 48 hours. That's very specific, 56%. Once we've done the assessment for you, we'll send you a report with details on how you qualify for a Canadian visa. But what we'll also do as well is arrange a consultation with either myself or Dennis, where we will talk to you. The meeting will last for about an hour and we'll go through your options in a lot more detail then and let you know exactly what programs you qualify for, how much it's going to cost, how long the application is expected to take. We can give you all that information at the follow-up consultation. So we are your partner in migration. We do work with our clients for quite a number of years in some cases, whether they're coming on temporary work permits, study permits, then applying for their permanent residency once they're in Canada, and eventually applying for Canadian citizenship. So we do work with you step by step through all those programs to make sure that eventually you can get your Canadian passport. So that's it from me for the moment. Now we're going to turn our spotlight on Prince Edward Island, out on the east coast of Canada. So enjoy this and we will be back with you shortly.
Why PEI? Well, this is where I grew up, this is where my family is. Why not PEI? I mean, this is the most special place in the country.
I honestly think PEI is like this little hidden gem of an island that people know is awesome, but I think until you actually live here for a while, you don't understand how awesome it is. It's very underrated.
Yeah, it's just a great small place. It's, you know, I'm a 2-minute walk to work, a 5-minute drive to the grocery store. I can go to Charlottetown and eat food as good as anywhere. You get to go to concerts. We got the best beaches.
It's peaceful. It's a great place to raise your family. And for entrepreneurs, there's a great small network that supports people that are trying to do something. And on top of that, you have your government support, and you have, it's a great place to build a network. And you have your own circle of people that will see the same vision you're going for. It's a fantastic place that I wouldn't get in any other bigger city or country.
What you can get for quality of life, you know, if I'm in my downtown office in Charlottetown, I can be at the beach in the summertime in less than 10 minutes in a downtown office. You can't do that anywhere else. Being able to do what you love and not have to worry about all those other things like that, that's what it means to me to have that quality of life here. The amount of restaurants and events and cool things that are happening, you can't find that mixture anywhere else.
There's so much potential for the new generation to do things. There's all these young people that are doing really amazing things. Yeah, it's just amazing to see how we've grown from that and we get to create these dynamic spaces in PEI that cater to, honestly right now I feel like we cater to all ages.
I think one of the big benefits of PEI is our cost of living, and I was able to buy my first home at 25 and a whole bunch of my other friends are in the same boat around my age, which is really awesome, and I think in a lot of other places that's unattainable. With the ability to make a good income, be able to afford to live, I think that's a benefit of the island.
I think that people shouldn't undervalue how much the island has to offer. There are a lot of opportunities and we have great establishments that can help you accelerate your skills on that. I think if you really took the time to look.
I'm doing my family medicine residency. I wanted to stay in the East Coast and be somewhere where there's a little bit more hands-on experience, so out of a big city center. So for me, Charlottetown is the perfect mix.
The fact that I even have the courage to start up a donut business or even put my photography out there, I don't know if I'd have the confidence to do it, because I just feel like PEI lets you do that.
When I moved back here, I just immediately felt the relaxation of PEI and like the comfort of seeing people that you've known your whole life. And I immediately just like think of like how easy it is to get anything done in PEI. You just have to walk down the street and you run into people you know and you're like, oh, I was going to call you, and they're like, oh, can you help me with this? And it's a really encouraging community here, and people want you to do well.
The people all around you are so kind. They would drop their anything to help you out. I want to raise a family here because I was raised here, my whole family's here, and I just want my daughter to be around what I've been around my whole life. It's just a beautiful place to be.
It's just really nice to be in a community where you see, kids and you see families, and it's not just bogged down by by people being busy and on their way to work. There's a ton of support from the government and the community for young kids and for young families.
PA has a lot to offer that people should really just come and explore and take advantage of. I think it would be for the best of Canada for people to just enjoy PA for a little while.
The things I want to do are here. I think a lot of people have a mentality that you have to move off PEI to get what you want in life, but you really don't. I love what's happening here and I want to be a part of it, so happy that I am.
I can't imagine living in a big city living in a big city again after being here for so long. It gets in your bones and that's it. You'll never turn back.
So now I'm going to introduce you to expert number 3 of the day. Well, I'm sure he's the number 1 expert in his industry. And so, hi, John Moynes from PSS.
Hi, Helen. How are you going?
I am good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Really busy, moving people abroad, but yeah, no, pretty good.
Very good. Seems a long time since we saw you, John. So looking forward to your presentation today. So yeah, John is going to talk to you about shipping your goods to Canada, because once you've got your visa, you're going to have to start about the more practical things of your move, such as shipping your goods over. So I will see you at the end, John.
Great. Thank you, Helen. Hi, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you're based. I'm John Moynes from PSS International Removals, and we've been actually helping families move abroad. Must be well over 40 years now, and this is all we do. All we do is focus on international removals. We don't touch the domestic market. So whether you've just got one box or a 5-bedroom property, certainly this is something we can assist you with. Now, just a little bit about PSS International Removals. I mean, like I said, we've been trading for just over 40 years. We've got offices throughout the UK. We've got an office in Croydon, Dartford, Essex, up north in Wigan. So we're quite fairly based all over the UK. Now, for those who, obviously, we've got a lot of people who have signed in today are all over the globe. So certainly, please feel free to reach out to myself at any point. I'll be more than happy to pass you through to a company where you are locally based, because it's always more cost effective to use a company more locally to yourself. And like with any organization, you want to make sure that the companies you're dealing with are accredited. Now, in our industry, certainly in the UK, you want to make sure that they are all BAR registered, part of the British Association of Removals, making sure, for example, they're members of the MTC. That means we use specific shipping lines where we get really good deals from the shipping lines and make sure that your effects do arrive out there. Now, if at any stage you do want further information, no matter how early on in the process, you're not going to be bombarded with emails or phone calls. You'll notice that little button at the top out there where it says press here. More than happy to send you out all the relevant information in terms of what you cannot send. But also more importantly, if you are moving this year, I would strongly recommend that we either arrange a home survey or a video survey. Now, both pretty much the same, just with the video survey, it's all done on your mobile phone. You just flip the camera, walk around the property and show us what's actually going. I would say out of the whole process, please do this really early on. Because at the beginning of the stages, you want to know, well, is it worth sending my IKEA furniture? Is it worth sending electrical appliances, considering that in Canada they work on 110 volts as opposed to 240 in the UK. So really, it's about giving you that hour. And like I said, it's a free service where we walk around, look at the total volume, because at the end of the day, everything's all based on the actual volume or the amount of effects or the space that you're occupying within that container. And that really dictates the cost, but it also allows us to look at the access to your property. Can we actually get a 40-foot container down the road, or, you know, even a Luton van? Obviously, those living in London, certainly central London, you can all appreciate traffic and getting a parking can be a bit of a difficulty. Now, the service that we offer is door-to-door customs clearance. You sit back and we do absolutely everything for you. As you can see, we've got some lovely illustrations there in terms of a before and after. So each and every single item's individually wrapped. They pretty much look like Christmas gifts by the time the guys are finished with it. And in addition to that, we will then give you a copy of an inventory. So in other words, you will know in box number 54 where to find your crockery, your, you know, and all these individual items. So as you can see, again, every single piece is individually wrapped. Very, very different to your domestic move where everything's just thrown, blankets thrown over everything. Now, typically speaking, depending on the volume, will be dictate again whether we're going to be looking at a part load or a shared load or even potentially a container load. Now, generally speaking, a 3-bedroom property will comfortably fit into a 20-foot container. Now, that particular service is where we come around day 1, we wrap everything. Day 2, obviously leaving the beds and essentials for that evening. Day 2, you'll see the container pull up potentially midday. You watch it all get loaded, sealed in, and sent down to the port. You may find, though, you've only got a part load. So almost like an excess baggage service. So you may only have a couple of boxes, you know, slightly different service. I mean, yes, we can certainly come around and pack it up for you. But of a lot of our clients, if it's just boxed items, we prefer to pack those themselves. The only difference is that you would then need to give us a copy of your inventory. So again, everything's labeled and marked. Now, in terms of part load service, everything will come back to our depot. Where we wait to get a full load. Obviously, Canada's pretty vast, so maybe East Coast, West Coast. Once we get that full load, we'll load the container at our depot, and then it will depart from there as opposed from your residence. Now, in saying all of this, it's all about the cost. You know, what is it worth sending certain items? Personally, I'd say, you know, big, large electrical appliances, rather just leave behind. IKEA furniture, I struggle with the diagram. You may decide, well, actually, you know, by the time we take it apart, we're not going to get it back out there. You've got to think of the property you're going to purchase. Generally speaking, in Canada, you've got much larger properties and more value for money. So you may find that those couple of smaller items may not accommodate your property. So it's really trying to get an understanding of what items are worth sending and the cost thereof. So as an example, a 20-foot container door-to-door to Toronto, you're going to be looking at around about £9,000, whereas a half a container, 500 cubic foot as a part load service, you're going to be looking around about 4 to 4,500. And again, that's us doing all the packing, the customs clearance, delivery to your residence. Now, the actual sailing time, if we were looking at, say, the East Coast Toronto, is only between 8 to 12 days, depending on the shipping line. So it's pretty quick turnaround. But then again, also, if you've got a part load, and even though you're going to Vancouver, it may be more cost effective to actually send it via Toronto, and then we just rail it across. So it's really trying to work with you in terms of cost. Now, the most important aspect of moving effects through to Canada is the customs clearance process. And it's not just really just Canada, but there's a couple of countries around the globe that work on the same principle. One of the most important criteria is that you have to be in the country when your goods arrive. Now, we will work with you, planning the shipping dates and so forth, just to make sure that you are in the country. Because once you get off the plane, you need to report yourselves to a customs office. Now, the inventory that we gave you, a copy thereof, needs to be handed over to a customs office, and you then need to fill out what they call a goods to follow document. In some areas, if you're more remote, you may have to actually present yourself to a customs office, show your passport, show your visa that you're legally allowed to ship goods over. Because as a first-time migrant, as long as the goods have been owned and used by yourself for 6 months, and you've got a visa that's valid for more than 12 months that Brazil Migration will assist you with, then all your goods would enter duty-free. Now, not everybody has the opportunity to have a property waiting for the goods to be delivered. Certainly, we could store it in the UK if your house sale, for example, goes through a lot quicker. Or once it gets out there, more than happy to arrange a cost to store it out in Canada. And once they do deliver, they will unpack everything, put the furniture into designated rooms. We'll reassemble your beds, your dining room table. The only thing we don't do is pack your cups and saucers into cupboards. But but other than that, it is door to door and customs clearance and so forth. I mean, I get a lot of questions with regards to motor vehicles. We don't do as many as we would like to Canada, because the regulations are that the vehicle needs to be at least 15 years old, or North American spec. So again, please feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, just click on that little button here. It says press here. More than happy to send you out all the relevant information. But in terms of the process, I would say, please speak to us early on in the whole process. Even if you haven't got your visa, start, because the whole idea is about budgeting. You want to budget for your flights, you want to budget for the visa, you want to budget on what you're looking at sending. I mean, we don't need to know the exact list initially. Maybe we can work on worst case scenario. Let's put down everything on the list, quote you on that. And then it's a matter of working with you throughout the process in terms of taking items off and getting a cost versus on what you're actually sending. That's about it from me. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Hope that you find the webinar really useful. Again, yeah, look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, John. I've got a question.
Oh, great. Fire away.
It kind of terrifies me. Let me just see if I can find it. This picture here.
Yeah.
Right. Do any of those containers ever fall off? I mean, that sea there looks quite calm, but
yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, you do hear that on the odd occasion. You know, I mean, it's touch wood. I've never, in the 23 years I've been doing this, I've never had to make that phone call, right? So that's why when I was mentioned right in the beginning about being members of the MTC, it's very, very good shipping lines that we use. So it would only be Maersk, it would be NYK. There's really good shipping lines. And what's really happened and has improved things drastically about 5-6 years ago now, everything has to go over a weigh bridge, right? So containers are weighed and it's all balanced out and put on the top. I mean, you know, I get that all the time, Helen. A lot of clients say, please make sure mine's not on the top left-hand corner. But honestly, never had that issue, never had a problem. I hope I never have to, but you know, you can never say never. But that's why it's really
not cursed you now, John. So
well, in 20 years, I haven't had that problem. So cross fingers, yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned about people contacting you sort of early on in the process, you know, to help with budgeting and but you know, generally sort of what time frame would you sort of want them to contact you? You know, is too soon ever too soon, or
absolutely, yeah, absolutely not. I mean, I would say best time 12 months before you go. I would say 6 months at the least. I mean, I still get phone calls every day. You know, the team get phone calls saying, I've got the 20-foot container, can you pick up next week? You know, everybody's in a panic. You know, moving abroad is pretty stressful on its own, you know. So, and generally speaking, we're the last organization to be with a family. You know, we're walking around the house, you know, little kids running around, trying to accommodate clients. But what I've found, and the biggest lesson I've learned is over the years, speak to us early on in the process. Like with any other partners that you link with, whether it be pet shipping, currency, flights, or whatever the case is, start speaking to us early, because besides the budgeting, you'll find that you're putting a lot less stress on yourself, and it just makes the whole process a lot smoother.
Totally agree with that. So yeah, the sooner you're organized, the less stressful the actual move
absolutely
is. So
awesome.
Yeah, John's contact details are there, so you can contact him directly. And if you downloaded the contact form, John will be more than happy to help you out with any questions there. But thanks for joining us today, John. Hope to see you in real life at one point this year.
Yeah. Hopefully, cross fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, would
Thanks
be great.
again,
Nice to catch up with you.
Likewise. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Okay, so now we're going to have another little video, and we're going to be looking at Saskatchewan, right in the center of Canada. So enjoy this little video, and we'll be back with you in a minute.
This is the land of we and us, of shared experiences. The breezes feel friendlier. The sky feels a little bit bigger. Somehow, these vast, wide open spaces have a way of bringing people together. And we never tire of hearing people say, "You can see forever here." Saskatchewan.
Welcome back, everybody. And if you're just joining us now, my name is Dennis Braslot, and I am the owner of the company, Braslot Migration Group. I'm also your host of today. I'm also a licensed immigration consultant and a regulated recruitment advisor as well. So, as Helen mentioned before, if you're going to take any help in terms of immigration, please make sure that you are protected by someone who is licensed by the Canadian government, Helen and myself are, or a Canadian lawyer, or you have the right to do everything on your own. This section is going to be focusing on studying in Canada and getting your study permit. So it is a temporary visa, as I mentioned once before. 3 different types: visitor, work, and study. This section is focusing just on study. And then coming up after this will be our how to get a job and work permits in Canada. So a study permit is a great opportunity for an awful lot of people. And don't sit there going, "I've already done my studies, it's done," because this has opened the doors for an awful lot of people. Show that you have enough funds to cover you and your family and your living expenses and the first year of tuition. Your spouse or partner can work, do a 2-year minimum diploma, and you're going to qualify under Canadian Experience class. Many colleges across the country, and what we have is colleges in Western Canada that take, similar to an HND in the countries that have that type, a college diploma. So not high school. We're talking things that are after 18 years old. Eastern Canada, all kinds of colleges available as well. The nice part about a study program is you'll pretty much be able to go to where you want to go. So where I talked before about if you need a job, you might have to go to a different location. Study, you can go straight to the city or municipality that you're looking to go to. If you're looking at university, taking a degree, this is also affordable. In the United Kingdom, in England, it's about £11,000 to study in England as a domestic student. Studying in Canada is going to be about the same, no more expensive. So the time scales are what you need to look at. And I'm going to try and use my mouse here, see if this works. Draw. Hopefully this is working now. So you've got 3 bars here. This is looking at a January start date. So the year is irrelevant because what you're doing is you're taking a 2-year diploma and you're going to complete it in 15 months. It's going to take from January of 2023 until May of 2024 or the next year after. 4 semesters you need to complete: middle of January to middle of April, middle of May to middle of August, middle of September to middle of December, middle of January to middle of April. You've graduated with the equivalent like a 2-year HND. Any capacity you wish to study. Full-time education means about 18 to 22 hours per week. You can also work up to 20 hours a week. Full-time when school's not on during the month breaks, and part-time when school resumes. When you graduate, you can apply for and receive a 3-year open work authorization. And once you've worked 1 year, you can apply for your Canadian permanent residency. Now, that's based on a January start, but on a traditional September start, and the first one just showed us if you're a single person. This one shows if you're a couple. So a September start, you're going to be looking at starting in September and going all the way until the following 2 years later, September. 4 semesters to complete again, same, 18 to 22 hours a week. You can also work full-time over the 20 hours a week during school, but you can also work full-time over the 4.5 months of summer. Okay, full-time work during that period. If you have a spouse or partner, they get an open work permit from day 1. They can work full-time, and maybe that helps qualify the whole family for the permanent visa. When you graduate, again, you apply and you get a 3-year postgraduate work permit. And once you have 3 skilled paychecks, your partner can get the 3-year extension as well. So this opens up the doors. What do you need to have? So Canada says if you're going to come to Canada as a student, you need to show that you have $10,000 to support yourself for 1 year should you choose not to work part-time. Tuition is going to be about $9,000 a year. So Canada looks at your $10,000 that you need to have to live. Your first year of tuition, you've got to show $27,980 in the bank. If you have a spouse, you need to show a little bit more money. If you have a spouse and 2 children, a little bit more money again. So you'd have to show $37,000. So this shows that you will not be a burden. And if nobody wants to work, this money will support you to live, eat, rent, heat, hydro, everything. And you can study in Canada. If you are taking a program, you may be required by the institution to do the IELTS academic test. And you need to get a 6.0. But what's important is the tuition that you have to pay to the college or university must include your health care. So you and your family will be covered with health care through the private institution. And once you graduate, then you go on the free healthcare system in Canada. So that's the money aspect. That's what you're going to have to do. This can be another way of coming to the country. So why would you consider this? Well, if you were thinking about a career change, do the program in Canada if you can afford it. You graduate with a Canadian qualification. The Canadian employer now understands exactly what your education is. You have an open work permit, so there's no impediment for a business in Canada to hire you. And you're getting all these extra points that we're going to talk about later in Express Entry by getting the Canadian study and the Canadian work experience. If you're interested in this, when you do the evaluation later, and you've gone online, you've picked the form, there's also a study supplement. Now this form, click it, download it. There's no extra charge to this. It is a static form, so you have to hand fill this one in and scan this one back to us. But this is a way of taking you through everything step by step. Study is a great opportunity for an awful lot of people. We've brought people in who are 60 years old. We've brought people in who are 20 years old. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It's never too late to relearn something new if that's something you want to do. I'm trying to speed things up a bit because we're a little bit behind this morning. We are your partner when it comes to migration, okay? So this is what we're going to help you with, and we're going to go through all the programs you're going to be eligible for. We're going to walk you through it, and if study is one of your strongest, we will highlight this, but it's your decision what you want to do. So we're going to take off and do a spotlight on Quebec, a place that some people may not consider, but it's a fantastic place. I should know. I live here. So we'll see you in just a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with how to get a job and work permits.
It's calling on my name.
So now we're at a part which most people really enjoy, and we're going to be joined by our expert number 4, Donna Bellucci. Donna is our careers and relocation manager, and she specialises in helping people find employment in Canada. Hi, Donna.
Good morning.
How are you? Have you had any snow out there? Dennis was saying that they've had 10 centimetres in Quebec.
Not yet. We are supposed to have snow today, I believe, but not yet. We don't have any, but it is quite cold. So and the sky's quite white. So it's on its way.
It's on its way.
Yes.
Well, you enjoy your spring snow. I'm going to let you start your presentation, Donna, and then I will come and join you to talk about temporary work permits in a short while.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Helen. Okay, so good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from today. Thank you for being with us. So hello and welcome. I am Donna Bellucci, and I am the Careers and Relocation Manager at Brazelot Migration Group. Now, I have been helping foreign workers secure employment in Canada for over 17 years, and that obviously includes helping employers find the right candidates. Okay, so you may have guessed I'm from the UK. The accent kind of gives it away, and I moved to Canada in 2003. Since that time, I have lived in 4 of Canada's provinces and visited most of the country. The country is vast, so each of the provinces and territories have a very unique differences. So do make sure that you do some research on lifestyle choices, employment, etc., before you decide where you want to live in Canada. Okay, so this session is on preparing for employment, and later we're going to share some information on work permits. So the first question I want to ask you is, if you're looking for employment, are you ready? At BMG, we do talk a lot about being ready or being prepared, as it is so important. But for the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you how you can get yourself ready for job search in Canada. Okay, so it takes time and commitment to not only conduct your job search, but to be able to be ready to begin. You do need to start with a plan, and then you need to make sure that you implement your plan effectively. You're going to need to create a Canadian CV and a cover letter and set yourself up to utilize social media effectively. Before we look at how you're going to do this, we're going to be sure that Canada does have a demand for workers and what those demands are. So if you've already started looking, you may have already started to find out what the demands are for your occupation, but we're going to just take a quick look. So as I said, the first question, is there a labour demand in Canada? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some statistics, and we're going to use the Government of Canada's Job Bank to look for those statistics, because that's where most employers will advertise job listings. It's a free resource for employers here in Canada. So these stats that you can see here on the screen, they were taken from Thursday's information. And in the middle there, you'll see there was 131,055 job postings. This number is really high, but the real number of positions is probably about 5 to 8 times this figure. Surrounding Canada, you're going to see 4 other provinces, and they are the 4 with the highest number of job postings. These provinces do also have the largest population, so we do expect them to have more opportunities. So the provinces of Alberta, British Columbia and Ontario have increased their job postings. Quebec used to be significantly higher, but those other 3 provinces have started to creep past them. Okay, so which occupations are in demand? So the Government of Canada does release stats every quarter on occupations that are in demand and details of companies or information of how many foreign workers have been hired, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look specifically at which occupations are in demand. And again, we're going to look at the job bank for that information. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at the sectors. So this chart again shows which sectors have the highest number of job listings. You're going to see here that the sales and service industry has the most opportunities available on the job bank, followed by trades and transport, business and finance, and then natural and applied sciences. These four sectors have dominated the statistics for some time, and I don't really see that changing. So if you're not in these sectors, don't panic, because there are opportunities, but these are the ones that just have the highest number according to the job bank. So this is the only resource that we've used to display this information. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into the individual occupations within those sectors to find out which actual occupations had the highest number of job listings. And again, this is information taken from the Government of Canada's job bank only. Okay, so the cooks top the list, followed by the service sector supervisors, and then food counter and kitchen helpers. And then there are some retail and admin positions, along with truck drivers, that follow. So these are the top ones that had the highest number of positions. The service sector occupations do dominate the list, which reiterates that while we know that Canada struggles to fill positions within the healthcare sector, the construction sector, etc., it is the service sector that is expanding and lacking a labour force. As I always say, the stats do not always tell the full story, and while this list is pretty accurate at the demands here in Canada, there are some occupations that are high in demand that don't make this list. For example, there is a demand for software developers and programmers, graphic designers, HVAC technicians, truck mechanics, and nurses, etc. As I said, if you don't see your occupation, don't panic, because this is just based on the highest number of listings. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to creating a CV and make sure that you can prepare a CV for the Canadian employment market. Canadian CVs do differ slightly from your home country's CV. So I've seen thousands of CVs from around the world, and most of them look very different to what we prepare here in Canada. So that is really important, that you do update your CV before you commence your employment search. When preparing your CV, you want to ensure that you follow some guidelines to meet the expectations of Canadian employers. Now, there are generally two formats that are used for a CV, the chronological and the functional CV. And the chronological CV is the one that is most commonly used, as it emphasizes your employment history. A functional CV is a skill-based CV, and it focuses on knowledge and expertise, and is used mainly for new graduates or somebody that's looking for a position that in the occupation that they haven't worked in for a while. Okay, so once you've decided on your CV format, you want to plan the structure, and we're going to focus on the chronological CV because that's the one that's used the most, and the sections that you should include within your CV. So you are going to need to have obviously your header, which includes your name and contact information, a summary and profile, which is a short description. You only want to note 2 to 3 sentences within that section. And then your experience should be detailed in reverse chronological order and only include the last 10 years. So what I mean by that is that you start with your most current employment and you work backwards the last 10 years. If you work for the same employer for the last 10 years, that's the only one you need to note on that. Then you detail your education, again, reverse order, and your places of study. Okay, you don't need to include references at this point. You can advise they can be provided upon request. Okay, so guidelines when preparing your Canadian CV, the ones that are most important that you need to follow are here on the screen for you, so you can have a look at those. A couple here I just point out to you. Be concise, 2 pages maximum. Okay, I've seen CVs 10, 11 pages long. It's far too long for an employer to read. You need to have short, sharp information. Okay, let's pick out one of the don'ts. You don't need to include a photo. I see that a lot on CVs. Don't include a photo. Employers don't need to know what you look like unless you're applying to be a model. So leave that one off. Okay, so let's move on to your cover letter or your introduction letter. So you've now got your CV spot on, so now you need to put together a template cover letter. Okay, so you need a cover letter that you're going to amend each time you make an application. So your cover letter does need to include some basic information. And as I said, when you apply for the position, then you should tailor it according to that position you're applying for. Your cover letter should be no more than 2 pages, and you should include these 4 paragraphs. So quickly, I'll go over them really quickly here because I know we're behind on time. The first paragraph should state why you're writing the letter. Second paragraph, explain what you have to offer and how you meet the requirements of the position. That's very important. The third paragraph, you should detail your immigration plans. And the fourth paragraph is your final or closing paragraph, which must be proactive. Okay, don't go overboard and include too much information. Keep your letter focused and concise. The cover letter should answer the question, why should I hire you? And you should be able to elaborate on that once you're called for an interview. Okay, moving on to social media. Over 80% of companies in North America use social media for engagement. So many of them are going to advertise employment opportunities, announce job fairs, or other recruitment activities via these platforms. You're probably using social media already, but are you utilizing it effectively in your employment search? Now, for employment, the best platforms to use are LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. So we're going to take a quick look at those ones right now. The first one, LinkedIn, is the most valuable social media job search site. And if you don't already have a profile, I recommend that you start creating one. Now, LinkedIn was established as a networking tool originally, but it is much more than that. You can research companies, bridge connections, and most importantly, build your credentials, which is basically your online resume. When building your credentials, you need to make sure that that Canadian CV that you've created is consistent with your LinkedIn profile, as employers may review both options. Okay, so once you've created your LinkedIn profile, what do you do next? Well, you need to start sending out invitations to connect with everyone you know. Many opportunities can be found through second and third degree connections. You need to ask those who know your work well. So if you've got connections with people that know what type of work you do, etc., if they can make some recommendation, because LinkedIn say that those that have recommendations are 3 times more likely to be contacted through the LinkedIn people search. So that's LinkedIn really briefly. So now we're going to look at Facebook. So your Facebook page, yes, can be used for your job search. But first, if you are using Facebook, a personal profile, do remember to clean it up and make sure it reflects a professional presence. You can use Facebook to link to potential connections through the groups feature. You can research and keep up to date on company news, interact with others, and again, review and apply for employment opportunities. So where do you find the job postings or these opportunities on Facebook? Well, they can be found in 2 places. On the company's specific Facebook page, you go to the company Facebook page and look under their jobs tab, or on Facebook's job board. You can search through the job listings by location, industry, skill set, job type, etc. So that's where you can find the positions if you want to start making applications via Facebook. Okay, and the last one we're going to look at today is Twitter. So many of you may not have considered Twitter as a job searching tool. Because of the real-time nature of the platform, it does mean that opportunities come and go at rapid speed. So you do need to utilize it effectively and review the feed often. Basically, whether you like social media or not, if you're job searching, it is a tool not to be underestimated. Many job announcements never get posted on job boards due to the power of virtual networking. So do make sure that you set up some profiles and start using it for your search. Okay, so how are employers using social media? As I said at the beginning, over 80% of companies in North America are using social media to advertise employment opportunities, announce job fairs or other recruitment opportunities, and screen candidates. And this one is going to be very important to you because employers, if you apply for a position, they're going to review your profile. Most likely, most of them will. They're going to gather information on whether or not you are a good fit for their company's culture. They're going to review your qualifications, etc. So remember, always think twice before sharing information on your social media. Maintain a professional and upbeat profile, but don't erase your profile. Just make it effective, okay? Because some employers will question when people don't have profiles, what are they hiding, etc. So keep your profile, but make sure that it is set up to be utilized effectively. All right, so moving on, once you've secured their interest from a Canadian employer, you're going to need to prepare for an interview. So many interviews now are conducted by some type of video call. Some are still conducted by telephone as well, but video calls are very popular. So things like Zoom, MS Teams, Google Meet, Skype, etc. So make sure you are prepared for this setup by having a reliable internet connection and a device with video and audio. If the company does request a telephone interview, do make sure that you have enough credit on your phone and you have good reception. You're going to need good reception also for a video call. When you are invited for an interview, confirm your availability promptly and begin preparing. So what are you going to need to do to prepare for that interview? Well, first and foremost, you are going to need to research the company and see how you fit in with their goals and their mission statement. Spend some time thinking about your long-term plans as well and your current skill set and experience so that you can respond to questions appropriately. I do recommend that you read over and prepare responses for the most common interview questions, and you can find many of those online to see what types of questions you may be asked. Do remember to note down some questions that you'd like to ask the interviewer. But remember, during the interview, if they answer those questions, unless you just need to reiterate the information, don't ask the question again. If you are using video for the call, then plan your appearance and your surroundings. Make sure that nothing in your background would not represent you very well, and the space should be quiet and free of interruptions. So do make sure that you've prepared that ahead of time. Okay, so in summary, as I asked you at the beginning, are you ready? Well, you're probably still not ready today, but what I hope you take from this short session is the importance of being prepared through each stage of your employment search so that you can be successful in securing your first Canadian opportunity. You do need to make sure that to remember to stand out from the crowd, be proactive, build rapport with employers, and remain committed to the task. You're not necessarily going to get the first opportunity that you applied for. That's highly unlikely unless you're very, very lucky. So you do have to remain committed because it can take some time to secure that position. But Canada does continue to be short of workers from a range of industries. So we desperately need workers who can contribute to the labour force. Okay, so once you've secured an employment offer, you are going to need to obtain a work permit. So the next session, I think, is going to be Helen that's going to join us back, and she's going to share some information on how you can apply for your work permit based on your employment opportunity.
Thank you, Donna. So yeah, once you've secured the work permit, the job offer, now you need to get the work permit to allow you to go and live and work in Canada. So for those of you that are only recently joined us, and I know there are some people, my name's Helen and I'm the visa processing manager here at Braslot Migration, and I am licensed with CICC, the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. So I'm authorized to represent clients and give you advice on your immigration. So with the work permit, preparation is key and critical, specifically with this application. So you've got your job offer. The employer is going to want to know that your work permit application is going to be ready to be submitted. You know, they don't want to then find that you've got to then start gathering your documents, get police certificates, get medicals if necessary, before you can submit your file. So really important that your file's ready to be submitted once that job offer comes through. So with the work permit applications, the majority of job offers are going to require an LMIA, a labour market impact assessment. And this is to show that there's no Canadian that's able to do the job, and hence the need for a foreign worker to come in. you're going to have to show that you're qualified to pursue the occupation. Okay, so you've got to show that you've got the skills and experience to do the job being offered to you. The employer's got to pay the prevailing wage rate, and if you're coming with your family members, your spouse or your partner can get a work permit and come with you, and children can get study permits as well. So let's look at the labour market impact assessment. This is an application that the employer must make to the Government of Canada. And it is going to cost the employer $1,000 per application. So once they've offered you the job and they're making this application, you know, they're showing a commitment to you by going through this application process. And as I say, most job offers will require the labour market impact assessment, and this application needs to be made before you can then apply for your temporary work permit. They've got to show that the job is a positive and neutral to the local market. So by giving a foreign worker the job, it can't have a negative effect on the local labour market. They've got to show that they've been advertising the position and that there's no local Canadian permanent residents or citizens who are able to take on that role, hence the need to bring in the foreign worker. So they've got to pay the prevailing wage rate, okay? And the prevailing wage rate, this means that the employer must pay the foreign worker a wage that is equal or above the median wage for the region where the work will be located. Okay, so you've got to do your research to find out exactly what the median wage is going to be. It varies right across Canada. So you can see here that we've got the example there of a welder. 2 locations, so Charlottetown in Prince Edward Island, and then the other side of the country, Wood Buffalo in Alberta. So if you look there at the median wage rate, you can see that it varies hugely. Okay, so Charlottetown, $20.50, Wood Buffalo, $44. And if you're applying for a job as a welder in those areas, that median wage is the salary, at least the salary that the employer's got to offer you. Anything below that, and the LMIA application will be refused. So out of all the jobs that you do see listed, potentially only a few of them are going to qualify and meet that median wage rate. Okay, so for every 15 jobs listed, only 4 are potentially going to qualify, because a lot of the jobs might offer below the median wage, because they might know they can get some Canadians or permanent residents who will accept that lower wage. But as a foreign worker, you've got to have that median wage. So it's something really important to look at, and employers need to be aware of when recruiting foreign workers. As I said, on the temporary work permit applications, as you apply for your temporary work permit with your job offer and the LMIA, if you've got a spouse or a common law partner that will be coming to Canada with you, they can apply for an open work permit at the same time. So very few restrictions for the spouse who will be coming with you. They can take pretty much any employment in Canada, and their work permit will be valid for the same length of time as your work permit, generally 2 to 3 years. If you've got children that are coming over, children aged 4 to 18 can get study permits and go straight into the Canadian school system. And if you're on work permits, you will qualify for the provincial healthcare coverage. Things to think about with the temporary work permits, though. The work permit will be issued for a limited period of time, anywhere from 1 year to 4 years. Most work permits we're seeing now are coming through for a 3-year period. The work permit is going to be specific to an employer and a location. So the work permit will declare who you're allowed to work for and where. Okay. If you want to change jobs, you're going to have to get a new job offer. The new employer has potentially got to get a labour market impact assessment, and then you've got to apply for a new work permit, which will then list your new employer's name and location. Having a temporary work permit does not automatically lead to permanent residency status. Okay, you've still got to qualify under one of the permanent residency categories, and you've got to make your application. For some people, that might mean not being eligible to apply until you've worked in Canada for a specific period of time. Could be 6 months, could be 12 months, depends on your location. And we talked earlier about the provincial nominee programs. And if you're in Canada on a temporary work permit, potentially applying for permanent residency through a provincial nominee program is going to be the route for you to get your permanent residency status. So if you are looking at getting your permanent residency status in Canada via a temporary work permit, you've got to be thinking a couple of steps ahead all the time as to how you're going to qualify. So the temporary work permits will, if you get a job offer, will let you live and work in your location in Canada. So as I say, you are going to be tied in to that job offer and that specific location once you've got your job offer. Really important, as I said before, that the application is prepared and ready to submit, so that once you've got the job offer and the employer's got the LMIA, that you're ready to submit that work permit application as soon as possible at that point, because the employer is going to want you to get over to Canada and start work as soon as you can. Now, we mentioned previously about the evaluation worksheet, and you can click the red button there at the top of the screen. It'll take you to the worksheet. And this worksheet, we just ask you some basic questions really about your background. We're going to ask you about your education, your work experience, your language skills. We ask about your financial status, and that's because some visa categories want to know that you've got some funds to support yourself when you land in Canada. So please do not leave that section blank there at the top of page 3. And on page 4 there, you can include your partner's details, a little bit of information there about their education and work experience. Please do sign the form on page 4 and date it. Once we've done the assessment, then we can have a consultation with you and have a chat to you about your options. Okay, so the evaluation is discounted today, so it's at $49 today. The full price is usually $112, and the discount's only valid until the 28th of March, so 48 hours if you pay for that evaluation worksheet now. You need the code March49 to get the discount. Okay, so if you click on that red button there, it's going to take you through to the form, and when you're making your payment, it's going to ask for the code. Make sure you type in March49. So this is what you'll see when you're buying the evaluation worksheet. Click on the apply coupon, and the coupon that you're applying is the March49, and that is going to give you that discounted evaluation worksheet for you. So here's a slide showing the cost of the evaluation. And remember, the evaluation does include the follow-up meeting with either Dennis or myself. And those usually last about an hour, where we can go through your options in a lot more detail. So different currencies there, just showing you what the approximate price is in your currency. Once we've done the evaluation, we're going to send you a report, be emailed to you, and we're also going to contact you then to arrange a follow-up meeting so we can go through your options in a bit more detail. And at the consultation, then we do ask you some further questions about your background, medical and criminal issues, potentially, because we need to know about those to make sure that you are going to qualify for your visa. And remember, as Dennis said earlier, fast, good and cheap. You don't really get all three at the same time. I'm not going to say it because he did it so well earlier. So I hope you all heard him. But now we're going to move on. And now we're going to look at the province of Nova Scotia, which is where Donna is based. So she was speaking to us from Nova Scotia just a few minutes ago. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Welcome back, everybody. And now we're getting to our section about how to move your money, because once you've got your visa, once you've moved your belongings, you want to bring your assets to Canada. You want to do this properly. So I'm pleased to bring in expert number 5 with our gentleman, Will Hewitson, who Will and I have worked together for many, many years. How are you today, Will?
I'm good, thanks, Dennis. How are you?
Good. Do I introduce you as Global Reach or Corpay?
I was going to come on to that. I think we are Global Reach still at the moment until probably tomorrow.
Okay, well, then it's the last chance for everybody to be Global Reach. So, Will, I'm going to let you take it away, but I'll come back and ask you some questions at the end.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Will Hewitson. I'm an Associate Director at Global Reach Group. As Dennis just alluded to then, we are becoming part of the Corpay Group, and the next time I speak to you, or when you make an introduction to us, probably be talking as Corpay, because our brand will be changing. But for today, I'm going to talk about Global Reach because we are the same company, the same people, the same great service, and we offer the same products and services to assist you moving your money internationally. So a little bit about Global Reach as a company. We are one of Europe's largest non-bank institutionally backed FX specialists. Once we become part of Corpay, we're actually going to be the largest globally of a non-bank provider of foreign exchange. We are winners of FIFO's Platinum Trusted Service Award. Within the last couple of days, we've also won a couple of other awards with the Good Money Guide, which we published on our LinkedIn profile and on the website if you want to have a look there. We offer competitive rates of exchange. So we help people transfer funds from one currency into another at fantastic rates of exchange that help you maximize your funds and save money as part of the immigration process. We can provide you with market insight and regular updates. Obviously, there's a lot of people in our industry that can assist you. A lot of things are going towards the digital side of things, so you're left to your own devices. With ourselves, you have a point of contact who you can reach out to at any time. Talking of reaching out at any time, if you're interested, please do make a no obligation inquiry on the tab at the top there with the red button. If you press there, you can fill out your details. There's no obligation at all. It just means that we have the ability then to get in touch with you and discuss our services in more detail. So the potential of currency volatility can have a massive impact on when it comes to making the move. You may have equity from a property sale. You may have been saving up for many years to make this move. And the difference between where you buy your currency at, depending on from 1 week to the next, or if it's 2 or 3 months apart, could mean getting a lot more Canadian dollars into your account when you arrive. So you can start your new life with more funds in your account. It may mean that you can furnish the property, renovate a holiday home, or even it might mean the difference between the size of property that you purchase. What we're here for is to help you time that transaction. That is probably the most important thing, is the timing, because as you can see on this slide, the difference in 52 weeks, if you had £100,000 and you're converting it into Canadian dollars, the difference is a massive 28,000 Canadian dollars between the low and the high. We are actually very close at the moment to a 52-week high, so it is nearly the best it's been in a year. One of the things to look out for when it comes to the Canadian dollar is the price of crude oil. Canada earns on each barrel of oil that it exports. It's one of the world's largest exporter of oil, and therefore when the supply of US dollars flowing into Canada is high relative to the supply of Canadian dollars, it results in an increase in the value of the Canadian dollar. So if you're buying Canadian dollars, you want to be doing it when the price of oil is coming down, which it has been recently. Obviously, there's a lot more driving the markets. There's a lot of geopolitical data. We're looking globally at inflation and interest rates, large banks going through difficulties, and all these things are having an impact on the rates. So why would you use a currency specialist rather than the high street banks? Well, first one is actually probably the third point there. You get more competitive rates of exchange. Rather than using a traditional high street banking method, if you use a currency specialist like ourselves, we'll be able to get you more competitive rates of exchange. There's no fees for using our services, and we are highly responsive, and it's easy to stay in contact. So once you're registered with us, you will be given one point of contact. They'll be your dedicated dealer. They'll be there to get in contact and notify you of any market movements that may impact you, whether that be positively or negatively. They will stay in touch, and you can pick up the phone to them at any time to have a chat about your requirements. So we want to help you take more of your money to Canada with you. We have a number of products and services that can help you protect your funds. The first one to look at is a forward contract. This is very useful when it comes to buying a property. Forward contracts are essentially, if you're looking to buy a property, it doesn't have to be for property. If the rates are in your favour, essentially we can fix that rate for up to 2 years in advance. So if the rates fall over that period of time between when you fix the rate and when you need the funds, you still get the higher rate of exchange. So there's an example between January and February last year, where if someone was buying a $300,000 property, what the property would cost you between the time of exchange and completion, if you fixed that rate, and when it came to completion, the property is going to cost you the same. If you hadn't fixed that rate, it could cost you another £7,500 if you were buying in sterling. So the cost of the property is staying the same as far as the realtor is concerned, but for you, you're exposed to the currency markets. So a forward contract can be really good if you know when you're going, you know you're going to need those funds, and the rates are looking good. We can fix that for you. One of the other products that is really useful when it comes to immigration actually are market orders. Now, a limit order is probably the most common one. A limit order is essentially where we target a rate higher than where the current rate is. So if you're looking at, you want to target 170, what we can do is we can say, okay, we'll put in an order for 170. We put that order in directly with the markets. That sits there then until it is filled. Now, we can't guarantee the rate is going to get there, but if it does, even for a second overnight, when we're all asleep, we automatically buy those funds on your behalf, and you have those Canadian dollars. You then settle the trade with us. So where we're looking at the moment, it is looking very good, but if you wanted to look for a bit more, what a lot of people do when it comes to immigration is they might take what they need with them for the first couple of months and then put in a limit order at a slightly higher rate to try and really maximize their funds. That's what we're here for. We'll give you the guidance on that. So I say, so with Global Reach, or I say Corpay, as will probably be known once you if you do make the if you do go on that inquiry form, it's probably saying Corpay now. We do have one of the most experienced dealing teams in the industry. We also have an award-winning online platform which you'll have access to, competitive rates of exchange, and fantastic service to really help you maximize your funds. It's very easy to sign up. By clicking that link, you don't have to sign up. You can just make an inquiry, and we will get back to you over the next couple of days to discuss your requirements. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on my email at the bottom there, which is whewitson@globalreachgroup.com, or feel free to give me a call. I'll pop my details down in the chat group at the end when we finish as well. And if you haven't yet, you've still got time, 16 seconds, to click on that link. Thanks very much.
Click that button now. Thank you, Will. Will, you keep forgetting one important aspect.
Go on.
Corpay's Canadian.
Corpay's Canadian, yeah.
Why do you never remember this with a Canadian webinar?
Yeah, it's probably an important one. Yeah, we Corpay is a Canadian company.
So excellent. So yes, everybody, Will put his details in the chat room afterwards, because all means reach out to him. Like you said, doesn't matter where you're coming from around the world, he can point you in the right direction. So Will, I've done my mathematics, and because you can't, but I can. With the service that you provide, I'm trying to find my paper now where I just wrote it down. The banks, I mean, people see in the newspaper, you see tourist rates, and you see bank rates, and you see money market rates. And so obviously you're dealing at the best rate possible, stock exchange rates.
Pretty much, yeah. With that, where we make our money is the difference between where we buy and where we sell at. So we're just a lot closer to the market rate.
Okay, and the banks are the ones taking the biggest chunk out of people's money.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Or actually, maybe at the airport, they take the biggest chunk.
At the airport, travel money is the widest margin, yeah.
Yeah, we had a client years ago change all their money at the airport and come to Canada with the money in cash, and I went, you just lost so much money. But if someone's taking about £50,000, the difference between you and a bank is the price of a small car. That's how much difference you can make. So everybody, don't discount that whatsoever. But Will, thanks very much for joining us. Get your in the chat room. I don't know if there's any questions going to come through, but you can answer them there. but hope to meet up with you very soon. Since I didn't get
Yes.
to meet the last show, but I'll be over in April, and hopefully we can hook up for a coffee.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Dennis. All the best. Bye-bye.
So right now, everybody, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little journey to the breadbasket of Canada. Well, no, Saskatchewan, sorry, was the breadbasket of Canada. But what we'll do is we'll go out to the province of Manitoba, the heartbeat of Canada, and sit back, relax, and we'll see you guys all in just a minute.
There's just something about this place. Well, there's a lot about this place. The arts and culture, just phenomenal. There's a spirit, a passion. They're tremendous people, real people. And it just sort of grabs your heart and won't let go.
When you come here, you feel at home. The people are so warm, so welcoming. They're so diverse. You can find something for everyone here.
Manitoba has a small town feeling, and that's a wonderful thing for people visiting. And because of that, we really, we become friends with our guests. It's a personal experience.
I think second to that would just be our diversity. Like someone can come to one place and get a whole variety of emotions and feelings and experiences just in one place.
Manitoba, c'est un endroit unique pour le tourisme à cause de nos ciels ouverts, nos espaces ouverts aussi, et puis notre nature. Il y a aussi une énergie, un excitement ici au Manitoba, une fierté de qu'est-ce qu'on a. Puis je pense qu'on voit vraiment ça dans la communauté du tourisme.
Je crois que la scène artistique ici au Manitoba est incomparable. On a des talents formidables dans chaque genre de musique, dans la danse, dans le théâtre. Il y a toute une variété de choses que les gens peuvent s'amuser à faire et à découvrir ici. Il y a une richesse qu'on ne trouve ailleurs, aucunement ailleurs.
I truly believe Winnipeg is like one of the secret gems of Canada. It's a big, small town. I believe that there's this magical aura and energy about Winnipeg that feeds and drives our creative spirit. The one thing that is so cool is they always talk about our food scene here and how good it is. We got a crazy thing going on here, and I think we take it for granted sometimes. Manitoba's like making a big splash, and I hope everyone hears us.
Sometimes we probably sell ourselves a bit short in this province. Well, if anything, we're extremely humble, but there's a lot of momentum right now. Some great things happening, and it's time to share it with the world. There's so many people working so hard behind the scenes and want people to enjoy our province and share everything we have to offer, which is tons. So we need to capitalize on that momentum and almost step a bit outside our comfort zone and maybe brag a bit about ourselves. So be loud, be proud. It's our time.
Welcome back, everybody. And this section here, I'm going to be going through about how you can possibly buy and start a business. Should you just be joining us, my name is Dennis Braslov. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I've been practicing well over 27 years, and I actually head up the business migration group. I am licensed and regulated for your protection. If you're going to come to Canada and you're going to use assistance, make sure they are a regulated or licensed consultant or a lawyer in Canada, plain and simple. We have three main divisions in our company: an employment division, visa team, and obviously the relocation department. But when it comes to the business unit, it's a little bit more specialized. We're going to have to go through your business migration and put this together step by step along with your visa application. We organize and help you with your business plan. We have to write something that's actually true and workable, and the market research and the business consulting services are second to none. We're going to help organize your fact-find trip to come out here, and your relocation and resettlement service is second to none. So what can you start? Well, you can buy into a franchise or a new franchise, a new startup, existing businesses, or a partnership. Tax rates in Canada for business are some of the lowest in the world. It is very, very lucrative to actually be in business in Canada. So I'm going to make this very simple for those that have some interest in this. Spend £150,000, $250,000. This includes everything, start to finish, everything. Obviously, there's terms and conditions that will apply to this. You're going to get a work permit and a study permit for kids immediately, and 6 to 9 months later, you're going to have full permanent visas. Let's go into a little bit more detail. So the figure that we're using is about 250,000 Canadian. So approximate exchange rates across the world. You can see your exchange rate on the screen there. And this isn't set in stone. This is just to give you your concept. So the investment or the spend that you must do. When I said it's everything, this is your flights to Canada. You've got to come on a fact-find trip. You've got to move back to Canada sooner or later. Your cost of the business, your equipment and supplies, immigration consultancy fees, lawyer accounting fees, moving and shipping of your personal belongings, your new company car, renovations to a building, all miscellaneous aspects to the file, and there's much, much more. Everything you do is part of the spend that you have to do because it's going towards you being in business. So we're going to break it down into 2 sections. First, we look at your net worth. If you don't have any money, you can still do a business program. And you can do a federal startup, an owner-operator labor market impact assessment, or an intercompany transfer. After that, you have to show $300,000 to be a Saskatchewan young farmer, Quebec entrepreneur, Yukon Territories, or Northwest. You need $500,000 to go to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba farming, Yukon, or Northwest Territories. $600,000 for BC, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. $800,000 for Ontario entrepreneur, $1 to $1.5 million for a different Ontario entrepreneur, Ontario corporate, and Quebec investors. So this is your net worth. What are you worth after everything is sold and done? What do you have? Plain and simple. What do you have to spend is different. So you don't have to spend any money if you're doing an intercompany transfer. Remember, this is a business visa for this one here. So if you are the chief executive officer of Shell and you're being sent to Shell Canada, it's an intercompany transfer. It is a business visa. You don't have to prove any money and you don't have to spend any money. Next one is if you want to do one of the federal startups, you need to spend $100,000. And this is one of the federal startup programs. You must go to one of the official business incubators, angel investors, or a venture capitalist approved by the government of Canada. You are going to give them $100,000 and you're going to own about 30% of the company. Quebec entrepreneur is also $100,000, but you're going to need to speak French in order to go to the French province. $150,000 to spend in Saskatchewan farming, Manitoba, Saskatchewan farming, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Northwest Territories. So Nova Scotia, you need to spend $150,000, but Nova Scotia, you also had to show you had $600,000 in personal net worth. Same concept with the rest of them. $200,000 is if you're outside of British Columbia, if you're outside of Vancouver. Saskatchewan federal startup 2, spend double the amount. You own 70% of the company. They're going to own 30%. $250,000, the figure that I've used for the exchange rate is the owner-operator labor market impact assessment. This is a federal visa. Manitoba, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, Yukon, BC, Vancouver, Alberta, Ontario entrepreneur, and spending $1 to $10 million is for these categories here. So the owner-operator labor market impact assessment, the reason that we use that is because this one here is a national visa. It means you can go anywhere in the country on an LMIA owner-operator visa except the province of Quebec, okay? So now that we've done that, we'll show you how this all breaks down. We've got to go through this. Preparations we've talked about, Helen, Donna, myself, it's key and critical. Your immigration file has got to be perfect, plain and simple. You're not getting through this category unless you have an absolute perfect file. Your new business you want to do. What's the licensing? Is it mandatory? Is it optional? Is it voluntary? Can you buy a pharmacy if you're not a pharmacist? What's your experience? What's your background? You don't have to have been a self-employed business person. You could be a manager, an executive, supervisor. You could be in a regulatory occupation like a nurse or an accountant. You've never owned a business, but you're in a licensed profession. Maybe you're a supervisor. This will qualify you to come forward. So what you're doing is you're creating your own work permit. You've gone through all the fact find, the trips, you've found the business you want to do. You're going to start one, you're going to buy one. Now we have to do a labor market impact assessment, and you have to advertise your own job to show that the job offer being offered to yourself is going to be positive or neutral to the local labor market. This is what's important. You're either going to create jobs or you're retaining jobs. So if you're starting a new business, what is the business plan showing over the next 5 years? How many staff are you going to create employment for? Or are you buying a business going to save jobs? There's other criteria that we need to go through, but that's in a more specialized basis. So all the programs I just talked to you about are PNP applications. They're going to take 3 to 5 years to get a permanent visa if you are accepted by the province to begin with. But the owner-operator labor market impact assessment, where you spend $250,000, 6 to 9 months later, you're going to see a permanent visa. Once you have the permanent visa, sell the business. Do whatever you want. You're not tied to keeping it whatsoever. This is a very fast avenue for a lot of people to come in. Where you want to go is going to be completely up to you, except the province of Quebec. Unless you do speak French, then we can go there. That's not a problem. But the LMIA owner-operators for the rest of the province, rest of the country. If we're looking at the provincial programs, we still deal with these business programs, but we only deal with these with people who have a very limited ability in English or in French, because that's where the PNP programs become very lucrative to use. For those that are interested, send an email to info@braslogroup.com. People keep putting their email addresses in the chat room. I don't know why, because we can't email from here, but put at info@braslogroup.com. We will send you a copy of this Doing Business in Canada booklet. We sponsored it. It's a great guidebook. It's a hard copy, so we have to post it out to you. And also, when you're doing the evaluation with us later, if you want to look at the business, you need to do the business supplement. People have been going online today, and they've been picking the study supplement, the business supplement. There's no charges to these, but these are not standalone files. You have to do the full evaluation in order to do these as well, to add on to your file, okay? I am happy to do this with you and go through this and with a step-by-step consultation to show you how you're going to qualify and what you're going to need to do step by step. We become your partner in business migration. There's a lot more to this. We've got to go through the visa application. We're going to have to organize your fact-find trips. We're going to have to write your business plan for you. This is all important to make sure that you do everything proper in the first possible way. This is a highly specialized area, but it's a very good way of people coming to the country, because you get those extra points, which we're going to talk about shortly. It gets you into Canada real quick. Make profit on the business, sell it or keep it, do whatever you want. But it's a very fantastic way of coming into the country lately. So with that, I know we're a little bit behind. I think we're about 20 minutes behind now. We're trying to pick up some speed here. And we're going to go out to the farthest Atlantic Canadian province that we have, Newfoundland and Labrador. And we'll take a quick look at that, and then we'll be back to talk about how this all wraps up and how it all ties in together. So we're getting to the good points now. Stick around. We'll see you in a minute.
Place that's been captured by the Dutch, the French, and the English is no stranger to holding people captive. Newfoundland and Labrador.
Wow, the slide changed without me even getting there. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, which I highly doubt, my name is Dennis Brazla, and we're going to walk you through the express entry side of things now. And I'm going to invite expert number 2 back again, who's going to join me in this section. So if we have one Helen Brereton coming live from Manchester. And as Helen has mentioned before, we are both regulated Canadian immigration consultants, which is for your protection. If you're going to work with anybody to help you with your application, they must be a Canadian lawyer or they must be regulated by the government of Canada, which we are. So, misnomer, express entry is not a visa category. It is a management tool that rules on 4 economic routes to Canada: the Federal Skilled Worker, Federal Skilled Trade, and Canadian Experience Class, and some of the provincial nomination programs. So we are looking at these. Helen has already talked about the PNP program, so we're not talking about this again. We're going to go through this step by step. But before we go further, Helen, everybody, we're coming up to the question and answer session after this. So make sure you type your questions in now, because by the time we get to the question and answer session, only the questions that have been typed in will we be answering. Once we get through them, then we move on. So if you've got questions you think you want us to answer, get them in the chat room now. Amanda will highlight them, and then we will take care of them after that. So, skilled worker. Helen, I'll take this one if you want.
Sure.
In order to be a skilled worker in Canada, there are 6 criteria that you must adhere to and get points for, based on your age, your qualification, your work experience, your language capability, arranged employment, and adaptability. So the first one is age. People have asked questions before. Canada is the only country that does not have an age cutoff. You can be 94 years old and still get a visa to immigrate to Canada. It doesn't matter. You just have to be able to qualify in one of the thousands of programs that we have. We've kept it simple in today's webinar. Qualification. Let's start with high school. You need high school as an absolute minimum in order to come forward. And the higher your qualification is, the more points you will obtain. Start with high school. Then we've got a 1-year certificate, a 3-year trade, 2-year HND, bachelor's degrees, postgrads, masters, and finally the highest level of points you can obtain is if you have a PhD. Work experience. There's a word in red. Helen, what does that word say?
Mandatory.
If there's any questions, anybody, you must have at least 1 year of paid full-time experience in the previous 10 years preceding your application, or you cannot come forward. Meaning, if you've just graduated from university, 24 years old, mechanical engineering, no work experience yet, you're not eligible to come forward yet. Language. If you speak 2 languages, you are bilingual. Speak 3 languages, you are trilingual. Speak 1 language, you are British. So in Canada, we do have 2 official languages, French and English. Shelley talked at the pre-webinar today about the English examination. This is critical, everybody. No matter what category we talk about today, work permits, study permits, all these permits, language tests are important and going to be critical to the file, no matter what. The only way you do not have to do an English test is if you marry or get in a relationship with a Canadian citizen. That's the only category you don't do a language test. Speak English, take the English test. Speak French, take the French test. Have an ability in both, take both tests because you'll get extra points. Arranged employment. If you're not getting any points for your age, of which is 21 to 35 is the most points you can obtain. You lose points above and below that. So if you're not getting any points for your age, you will have to have arranged employment in order to go through the system. The final one is adaptability. You can score some bonus points if you have a close family member in Canada. Close family member means mother, father, brother, sister, niece, nephew, grandmother, grandfather, son or daughter, niece or nephew. First cousins don't count. Second cousins don't count. Don't put you have an auntie in Canada because you've always called her your auntie. If it's not your father or your mother's sister, it's not your blood aunt. It can be your partner's aunt, your partner's brother. It doesn't have to be yours. So if you're a couple, your application is 1, and this will help there. If you've studied in Canada, you'll get extra points. If you're on a work permit in Canada, you get extra points. If you have arranged employment waiting for you, you'll get extra points. So there's all kinds of different ways. You need 67 points minimum to come forward. Be under 55 years old, have a 2-year diploma or more, have 6 years of skilled experience, have great English skills, you're going to get the 67. That's not going to be the issue there. But it's a matter of enhancing this first stage, and it's just the first stage. Everything we're going to talk about is just a first stage. Second stage is how you actually get the permanent visa. Now, number 3, work experience is very important. We've just changed our occupation definition in our system. So for those that have been following immigration, November of 2022, we changed it to the tier system. So now we look at different ways of how we qualify your occupation, whether it's skilled or not. It does not matter what you call yourself. It matters what Canada will call you. So you have to make sure you focus and hone in on your occupation, that you've got the right title coming forward to Canada. That's your skilled worker. That's one of the 3 ways of round 1. Over to you, Mademoiselle.
Skilled trades. Okay, so this is a different category. And as the title will suggest, this is specifically for tradespeople. Now, Canada recognised that tradespeople were struggling to hit those 67 points under the skilled worker category because of the lack of academic qualifications. So they developed this new program specifically for tradespeople. So qualifying criteria, that it's not points based. This is the qualifying criteria. You must plan to live outside the province of Quebec. You must have done a language test in either English or French and met the minimum levels. These levels are going to be lower than those for the skilled worker category. You must have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in a skilled trade within the 5 years before you apply. So recent work experience in a skilled trade. You must meet the job requirements as set out in the NOC. And this is the really critical point of the skilled trades category. You must have an offer of full-time employment supported by an LMIA, or you must have a certificate of qualification in your skilled trade issued by a Canadian provincial or territorial body. It's often commonly referred to as a certificate. So, job offer or certificate. Those are the critical criteria really for the skilled trades. Not points tested. You must meet all of those criteria listed there.
Me or you?
I was like that. Who's going to break first?
Go, you go. You go. This one's nice and simple.
I'll do it. A Canadian experience class. Again, the clue is in the title, Canadian work experience. So if you've got at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada within the last 3 years, and you've done a language test, English or French, and met the minimum criteria, you can qualify under the Canadian experience class. So a lot of people who've come to Canada to study or they've come on temporary work permits, once they've got that 1 year, they will qualify under this criteria. Now, you may qualify under more than one criteria. You might qualify under Canadian experience class and skilled trades. You might even qualify under skilled worker as well. But you must qualify under at least one of these programs through express entry.
I will do this one.
Alrighty.
Provincial and territorial nominations. Helen's already talked about it previous. See how good that one is?
Yeah.
So by getting a PMP nomination, and some of the categories, it's 600 extra points. So the way this all wraps up, express entry is the management tool. Okay. I'll explain the Olympic rings because Helen doesn't like this. The Olympic Games are every 4 years. And every 4 years, the best athletes from all over the world gather together in competition. But before they get to the Olympics, they had to do their trials and their heats back in their home countries. Now, there's one thing in common that every athlete has had. They've all had coaches. That's what Helen and I are, is your coach. So every 4 years, they come together, competition, trials, heats, relays, and they get down to the finals. And every final has 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. 3 medals are awarded. That is your permanent visa for Canada. It's a medal. It doesn't matter what color it is. You just want a medal. You are competing with everybody around the world in 4 different disciplines for the same final permanent visa. So it is a different set of points based on whether you are a single person or whether you are a couple. Okay, mom, dad, 2 kids is rated different than if you're a single person with no dependents, no spouse. It's based overall on 1,200 points. First, you need to qualify federal skilled worker, 67 points. Federal skilled trade, 2 years in the last 5. Canadian experience, 1 year in the last 3. Then you need to be selected to win a medal. Selection is approximately every 2 weeks. Currently, as of 23rd of March, 3 days ago, you needed 484 points in order to be selected by Canada. If you receive a PMP nomination, you'll receive 600 points. It's automatic selection. Helen, how do I get a PMP nomination? What's generally going to happen for me to get 600 points?
You will be in the express entry pool, having qualified as a skilled worker, skilled trades, or Canadian experience class, and you will receive an invitation to apply to a provincial nominee program.
And you'll probably be working in that province already. If we do a business work permit, we're looking at getting that 200 extra points, and that's what puts people up and over the edge. Processing currently 7 to 10 months. It's actually probably getting even faster than that now. I would even suggest it might even be 4 to 8 months now is how long it's taken to process permanent residency applications under the new programs. So the way you get your permanent visa through express entry is through one of the 4 categories. Okay, we talked about it before. It's important. I don't know if we can copy. No, we can't. But take a screenshot. Your English test is critical, people. You're not coming to Canada with low English results, plain and simple, with some exceptions, okay? You need to maximize it, and these are the type of people that we do work with. We are your partner when it comes to migration, okay? It's strategy. It's what it's all about, is to make sure you've got the right strategy to go forward step by step. How do you go forward? What category? What type of visa should you apply for? This is what we're going to be able to help you with. Helen and I and Donald will be back in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to go through and start answering the questions that everybody's been typing out there. But right now, we're going to go to my home province, the province of Ontario, the biggest population in Canada in terms of, population. And I don't know what else to say. My hometown is there. Let's go to Ontario, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. One of the popular segments of our webinar is the question and answer session. And I'm going to be joined by expert number 2 and expert number 4, Ms. Helen Brereton and Ms. Donna Bellucci, if they want to come on board. And I will moderate for you guys today. And we're going to go to question and answer mode.
Expert number 1 then?
No, that was Mandy, remember? I've never called myself an expert because that would just be...
What expert are you then?
Well, I would just say the umbrella expert. I have no idea what to say, but I just, I'm a modest person. I don't brag about myself.
Very, very modest. Yeah.
You're not choking on. No. Okay. Okay. So we're still waiting for Donna. What city or province is best in employment for civil infrastructure? We're assuming civil engineer, and I think somebody answered that for you. Donna's not here. We're still waiting for Donna, but I'm probably going to say Ontario, just population. Hello, Donna. Helen,
Sorry.
Is there an age limit to Canada? I'm 53 now.
There's no age limit, Michael, for Canada. However, some provincial nominee programs do have an age limit of 55, so that might be something to consider.
Just for the nominations. Donna from Atik, how about biomedical engineering technician? Like them?
Yes, well, Canada, as I said in my presentation, needs many different types of skill sets. So don't everyone start asking me if Canada needs them, because basically Canada does need every type of skill set. So if you've got experience, and most employers are looking for sort of 3 years plus for most occupations, but it's not to say if you've only got 1 year that you would not be considered, depending on what you do. But yes, there's opportunities.
Sean. It's going to start off with the evaluation. That's how we go about the welding job. And everybody, if you start asking about your occupations, we're probably going to skip over a lot of them because people will want to know about their individual. As Donna said, if you needed education to do your job, then you're going to be welcome in Canada. There's going to be an opportunity for you. And the way we go through that is the evaluation, okay? You've got to be immigration ready before you can actually start applying for jobs, because the employers don't want any impediment from you holding everything up. They want to know that if they interview you, your file's good to go, you're done, okay? So this one's a good question, though. Recently graduated, enrolled nurse. Donna or Helen, you want to talk about if you're just recently graduated?
If you are recently graduated in terms of nurses, as long as you can be registered in Canada and that's an assessment of your education, etc., then that's not an issue in terms of employment. But for most occupations, you do need experience. But the demand for nurses, if you've just graduated and you've got experience as a student nurse, then that is fine.
And Helen, what about the immigration side if they've just graduated?
Immigration side, you're going to need at least 1 year of work experience, whether that's in Canada or outside of Canada. You'll need at least a year to get your permanent residency.
Okay, Cassie wants to know, I'm 54, what's the possibility as a caregiver?
Well, the healthcare industry, as I said, there's lots of occupations high in demand. So your age won't really be a factor as long as you're fit and well and you can perform the job.
Helen, Rajiv would like to know, can you advise on permanent residency to practice medicine? What would Rajiv have to do?
He would need to complete the evaluation worksheet, and then we can do assessment for you, Rajiv, and let you know.
You don't have yours this morning, do you?
I did have it. I've been waiting for you to ask. I did have it right beside me until I spilled my cup of tea over it. So, yeah, it's now in the bin.
Sarah wants to know, what drink do I recommend from Tim Hortons? Well, I don't do double-double. I just drink it black. And Helen obviously is not going to drink tea anymore because she spills it all over the evaluation worksheet. And Sarah, again, thank you at the beginning for answering people's questions about the agenda. Sarah and I just had a meeting. Maybe, Sarah, you can make a comment about the evaluation, whether it's worth it. Is it possible, Donna, for BMG to assist getting LMIA jobs?
Well, we assist our clients with finding employment, whether that is with an employer that's going to do an LMIA or the Atlantic Immigration Program or a provincial nomination.
Helen, can my sister who's just got her citizenship sponsor me?
She may, Michael, if you are her only relative that she could sponsor, and if she has no family in Canada. So yeah, she'd have to be a lone Canadian to be able to do the sponsorship. So she couldn't have any family in Canada or any family outside of Canada. So only you.
Donna, from Vanessa, do you help with the job aspect?
Yes, we do.
Donna, are UK and Canadian CV styles the same?
That is a very generic question because I've seen lots of CVs from the UK that are very good and we don't need to amend them too much or update them, and others that are way off what we expect here in Canada. So I would say they can be very, very similar, but things like hobbies, etc., references are not included on Canadian CVs.
Mirzaz, ITS technician, I don't understand that. Anybody remember from before? No?
Can't remember.
Michael, again, can I move over to Canada, work permit without a job offer first? My God, everybody would want to do this. Helen.
There's very few limited options available for coming to Canada without a job offer first. The majority of people are going to need to have a job offer and a temporary work permit. Okay, so if you fill in the evaluation worksheet, we'll be able to let you know if you fall under one of the categories where you could get a work permit without a job offer.
Where we say majority, Michael, we're talking 95% of people need a job offer, certified job offer first before they're coming over on a work permit. What's the process for immigration as a dentist? I think it's more you, Donna, because they have to have licensing first, right?
Yeah, and depending on where you've done your education, depends on whether you qualify as a dentist or have to do a dental program in Canada. So you may want to look at that one first, depending on where your education is from.
Looking the opportunity in intercompany transfer and full support. Mirza, that is the full evaluation and the business supplement. Okay. What is the best way to immigrate to Ontario as a secondary school teacher? I've almost completed the OCT. What would be the following steps, please? Amit, to you, Donna.
Well, you may qualify without a job offer, you may not. So the assessment, obviously, to determine if you qualify. If not, and you need a job offer, you would, once you've got your teaching certificate, you would need to secure a job offer.
I don't know if Zubair had the occupation before. Do I have to take some exams or study further?
Is this the dentist? I've forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. Yes. So I think we've answered that.
Potentially, yes. The answer is.
Sorry. Are there any opportunities for persons that have certification in phlebotomy and MLA? They did not finish high school. What's MLA?
Is this at me or Helen?
Well, I don't know what MLA is.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what MLA is.
Coming to Canada on a work permit is about your experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting to permanent stages is about your education. So we'd look at both aspects and be able to let you know.
Yeah, the one. I mean, it is a bit about both for a job as well, because if there's a requirement to have a degree or registration in the job, then you must meet those requirements in order to be able to get your work permit.
When you do the evaluation, everybody doesn't qualify. Okay, we're not going to be going through and saying, yeah, everything's great, go forward, no problem, because that's not reality. And we will let you know, I'm right up front, before you start spending thousands of dollars. You're going to know for $49 right up front, you know, how you can do it, if you can do it. And if you can't, we'll tell you that as well. I'm going to answer this one, ladies. If one has a degree that is Canadian based, will the credits be transferred? Marissa, we have a lot of clients from TT and from Jamaica that have got a University of New Brunswick accredited university. If they did in TT, it's not a Canadian based foundation. So it doesn't credit over as a Canadian qualification. It was Canadian provided. It's still considered in Canada a TT or a Jamaican qualification. Donna knows this the best. Are there any?
All I saw was the word alcoholic. I was like, oh no. Well, again, I mean, is that a barman? Is that, you know, it is an open-ended question. There are opportunities. There are opportunities for bar people. The hospitality sector is desperately in need of workers, but it does depend on what you're actually doing within that industry.
Helen, good one for you from Lee. Looking to move to Canada on a possible express entry. I'd like to move out first for a possible year and a half before my wife and child fly out, as they want to finish their degree in Scotland. Is this possible?
Yeah, what would happen, Lee, is if you apply for permanent residency through the Express Entry program, the family would apply together. You would all get your permanent residency documents issued, which would have an expiry date. So all the family would have to go to Canada before that expiry date and land in Canada. Now, your spouse and child can return to Scotland, not a problem, and then if you want to stay, but they must move out to Canada within the following 3 years after that. Okay, but you've got to go out initially to get landed, and then you go up to 3 years to make that permanent move out there.
From Shiraz again. I'm civil engineer, highway project, 20 years experience, British national, looking for a job in Ontario. My siblings and parents are there. How to get a job, since many of the big highway engineering companies are reluctant to apply for LMIA. Shiraz, that's actually not true. We work with a lot of big companies that do apply for the LMIA. Do we have direct contact? Yes, but remember, people, Donna, Helen, myself will never, ever promise you a job. Only the company that's going to hire you will promise you a job. But we work closely with the companies to make sure that you've got the right aspect together. So all these companies are getting emails daily. Give me a job, give me a job. And they're not interested because they've got very weak English scores. They can't pass this, they can't pass that. When we approach a company, your file is done and perfected. You're good to go. You just need the interview. Cassie already did this one. I guess we didn't answer it quick enough. How would you be able to watch a recording of the session? Rajiv, our webinar today will be on YouTube. So go to our channel, everybody. Give our channel a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and you'll be able to watch this at the end. You'll be getting an email from us afterwards to give you the exact link. Good morning. I have customer service experience over 6 years. Will I be successfully obtaining a Canadian job opportunity in this field? Shoshana, there's no reason why you can't. You just have to qualify to come through. Miraz, thanks for giving the chance to questions. Not a problem. How much can I commit to the cost of your services overall? How much can I commit? You can commit as much as you want, Candace. That's not a problem. Everybody's going to have a variance of fees. We go through your application step by step. So at your private consultation, you're going to have a price list sent to you right up front. Are you single? Are you married? Do you have children? Do you have a criminal problem? Do you have these different aspects we'll add or subtract onto a file? So it's not fair to give a price because people hear it and go, oh, but you won't get started with us until you have an exact price. And the people who have had a meeting with me here today can all attest to that. And then we show you how it breaks down. Camille, we bring a lot of teachers in, especially the younger, the better, like early childhood education teachers. Shalise, do you have any jobs for biochemists? Very much so. Canada's one of the world leaders in this. My husband and I are teachers, secondary and primary with bachelors, and teaching jobs available, or can we apply for other jobs? Doreen, you can always apply for other jobs if you've got something an employer is going to deem, yeah, I'd hire you over that. I'm IT health care experience over years. No problem, Miraz. 20 years experience in administration and employment opportunities. I think I worked with a client the other day and we found over 6,400 jobs available in administration. Yeah, there's scope. I'm a registered dietitian. How long does the process registration take and what is the process if you know? Donna, when's the last time, have you dealt with a dietitian before?
Not for a long while, so I wouldn't like to commit what the time length is, but most registration processes, you're talking about 6 to 12 months. Sometimes they can be longer, and like some of the trades, etc., can be slightly quicker.
I'm going to say, well, there's no such thing as a silly question. Any jobs in healthcare industries? Louisa, yes. But Donna, this question's for you.
Where's the warmest climate?
Because you've lived in all kinds of different provinces.
In the world, well, it's not Canada. Well, you have to. I have lived in 4 other provinces. You do have to remember that Canada sits above the US. So I'm going to say that the warmest places are either in southwestern Ontario, which is the furthest down towards the US, or British Columbia. But you get quite a lot of rain in British Columbia, but you're going to find the warmer weather.
Emmanuel, I'm from Cuba. I live in TT. I want to go to Canada. I speak English. What should I do? Well, Helen can't show you, Emmanuel, but you need to do the evaluation. And the link will go up one last time. Donna, here's an extra one from Mirza. He has his personal support worker certificate inside of Canada.
Great. That's very good. That's a very good start.
Make sure it's on the form because that's important. Okay. Julian, do we do visitor visas? No, we don't. It's a 50-50. Well, I can't say we don't. We have for our clients afterwards, should needs be. But we don't like to take on someone new because these are a 50-50 roll the dice. Okay. Depends on your background, what you've done, if you ever applied before. So, Candace, I'll be back to TT probably in May.
Candice might have been asking me and Donna, and we're going to TT. I might not be aimed at you.
It's
Candice, I'd like to go as soon as possible. So
for our clients who have done the assessment, you get the dates and time. Someone asked when I'm back in the UK. It'll be the 19th to the 26th of April. Precise location and arranged appointments will be those that have done the evaluation. My mother-in-law lives with us. Sorry, Lee. So unless she's listening. So we're trying to explore avenues where she might come over straight away with us. Lee, that's we're gonna have to talk about that through a consultation. That's different. So I want to give you the right advice on what you can do. How to help IT person. We've gone through that, Miraz, but you've got your PSW. That's your ticket in. Slightly random question. My husband's grandparents were Canadian, and he would have been eligible to apply before 2000, but he didn't, silly boy. You've missed the boat, Leanda. We had it open for a while. When you come to Jamaica, where will you guys be located? Shalise, we go all over. Well, not all over. I go to Kingston. I go to Mobay. I do my interviews there. Again, those that have done the evaluation with us can get the information there. I'm from Nigeria. I'm 38. My wife's 36. We both have 7 years experience in private company. Does it necessarily mandatory we write IELTS before we process relocation to Canada? Helen, answer this one for Temi.
Okay. So IELTS is going to be mandatory for your permanent residency application for Canada. Okay. Might not be needed for a work permit application, but for permanent residency, it will be mandatory. We would let you know at what stage to do the IELTS.
I'm interested in discussing about job offers with the organization. Great, Umar. It starts with, are you eligible for a visa first? If successful, will company sponsor your family as well? I asked because I live with my mom and 2 children and would like for them to migrate with me. Trishana, kids are coming. We're going to have to figure out about mom, just like Lee asked before. That's a little bit what's the word, Helen? You've got to have precise information on what you do with your moms and dads. Okay. Registered dietitian, we've done this one from the UK. My son lives in Alberta. I have a super visa. I applied for a visitor visa for my daughter, which is 15 years old, and they turned her down. They say she doesn't have enough assets and significant family living there. What do I do from here? Julian, that is a complete evaluation and a consultation with us. Or son, this next line there. I'm a bit confused. So am I. How does the selection go about? I read that an interest has to be shown as an applicant, but over a year now I've been contacted through my email because of the scams nowadays. I didn't pay any attention to the emails received. Could you please elaborate on the selection or application process? Brutus, love your name. Don't be confused. Check out our licensing. It's online. Okay, go to the Government of Canada. You can see that Helen and I are legit as far as can be. You know, I saw some people in from India. Helen, Donna, I don't know if you saw the recent report. We love our clients from India. And unfortunately, 95% of people in India are using an unlicensed consultant. It's just wow. So Brutus, do the evaluation with us. We'll have a meeting with you to go through everything step by step. Okay, you don't have to worry about any scams from us because we're not going to lose our license. Do teachers have to have a degree to migrate and teach in Canada? Ornella, to you, Donna.
Yes, for the licensing to obtain your teaching certification, teachers, primary and secondary children do. If you've got a diploma, then that is sufficient or can be sufficient for early childhood. But primary and secondary, yes, you do.
Do you want to answer this one for Sarah, Helen?
Hi, Sarah. If I get invited by a province to come to Canada, do I have to stay in that province for a couple of years before I can move to another province? So if you get a provincial nomination certificate, when applying for that certificate, you're making a commitment to the province that you want to settle in the province, okay? However, in saying that, once you've got your permanent residency status, as a permanent resident, you are free to live and work anywhere in Canada. So there's nothing on your certificate saying that you have to remain in the province once you've got your permanent residency, but obviously the province would like you to remain there.
Is there a job market for UK care workers?
Not specifically for UK care workers, but for care workers, yes.
I don't understand the question. Yep. Can you provide a breakdown of your processes that will require a fee other than the evaluation worksheet? So, Lashana, that's what we go through because people are asking the same types of questions here. We're going to go through this with you step by step. I can't show you a price list now because I don't know if you're coming on a business visa, if you're coming on a study permit, if you're coming on a work permit, if you're just doing citizenship, if you're extending a work permit already in Canada. So we're going to go through that with you on a step-by-step basis. $49 is what you pay to have the evaluation and the meeting. There's no further costs until you decide you would like to retain our services. And at that point, you'll know exactly step-by-step what's going to happen. Can my husband is IT over 25 if he's 50? Roxana, yes, that's not a problem. Do you assist in getting a job in demolition industry? Any tips?
Oh, we like the demolition industry. Well, I do. Well, if you're listening to my presentation, there were lots of tips there where you should be looking, what you should be doing, etc. So that is for everybody, for whatever position they're looking for in Canada.
I do the evaluation now. Does it include the meeting in Trinidad? Yes, Candace, it does. We're in Kingston. I won't be going to UE. Okay. Helen and I did Jamaica College. We did a big session there in 2016. Yeah. But no, they're private consultations and private meeting areas, Shalise. What if your work experience is a few months at a time? I'm in hospitality. Ellen, good question.
It depends on the type of visa that you're applying for. Some visa categories want to see 1 complete year. Other visa categories it might be acceptable to have work experience a few months at a time. Okay, so it all depends on the visa category that you're applying under.
I have over 5 years inside Canada with my family, looking for PR pathways, looking for proper lawyers support. Mirza, we are not lawyers because, well, I don't want to, okay, I won't say my joke that I normally do. We are licensed immigration consultants, okay? We're not lawyers. We're not a law firm. We are a large firm that assists people from start to finish in whatever aspects they're going to need. So yes, do the evaluation. We're going to be able to go through this. Everybody, we're getting more and more questions about, I'm a cleaner, I'm a nursing assistant, so we're not going to go into the job sides again. Someone's talking about their age, okay? I'm about to be a certain age in a few months. That's what's important about this evaluation, because we're going to tell you how you stand today, because you could be affected by a next birthday. Good one here, Donna. Foreign doctors thinking about migrating. Do we have to do the exam first?
Before applying for permanent residency, but no, not if you qualify for permanent residency, because your licensing is connected to your job, but it will depend on the visa. But you're going to need to start taking steps for your licensing in order to secure a job.
Yeah. And Amy, we've had people come out to different provinces where they've been given temporary licensing whilst they had a very limited period of time to get everything done. Emmanuel, very good question. With the new agreement with the U.S. about migrants, can you explain what this means? It means our immigration is going to get faster now, because we're not going to be putting resources towards illegal immigrants coming into the country. Sounds harsh, but we've closed one of the borders where people have not been doing this properly, and it's been taking a lot of resources away. In the industry, it affects so many different platforms, it's not funny. But where people are trying to come to Canada properly, and these refugees have a proper way of doing it, they just have to go to a different entry point to make their application. But they thought they've been dealing with these cowboys, bringing them across a border where there's no control, no security guards. That's been closed. This is good. Everybody in my industry is applauding that, because now immigration will be able to focus on people like you who are doing everything proper. We have another expo. Alicia, Helen, would you want to do another expo in Jamaica?
Absolutely. I'm ready for a trip to Jamaica.
Well, that's the expo. Donna did the seminars in Jamaica. You did the expos. Would you two rather do? Seminars or expos?
Possibly seminars.
Yeah, it's not going to be as crowded.
Well, Expo was very busy. Very busy.
That's it. We've come to the end of the questions. So, everybody, the evaluation is what happens here. Let's wrap up everything afterwards. I'll be back shortly. Helen and Donna will join me a little bit towards the end, but we'll see you all in a minute. We're going to take a look at our last province in Canada, the province of British Columbia. Very popular. As Donna said, it's the one with the least amount of snow because it has more rain than anywhere else in Canada. So watch a little bit about BC, and we'll see you up to finish off this whole webinar today. See you in a minute. I do not believe any of you are just joining us now. But we'll wrap up and finish off a couple of these questions you've just asked. My name is Dennis Braslot. I've been your host today. It's been my privilege to support everybody here today. Unfortunately, not everybody's going to be able to go through immigration. Okay, there will be some barriers to migration you're going to have to overcome. Your first one is selection criteria. Do you have what Canada wants or one of the provinces or employers? We are going to vet this for you right away. There's no sense in doing everything else and getting everything prepared and spend money if you can't qualify. Don't do your English test. Don't do the credential. Don't do any of this yet until you know there's a pathway for you. So it is the evaluation worksheet, and we'll put the link up one last time. Someone keeps asking, where do you send the form? On the bottom of every page, there's the email address, info@braslotgroup. That's where you email it back to. Your second barrier to migration will be character issues. Every country you've lived in from the age of 18 years old for 6 months or more, you will have to provide a police check for the countries you have lived in. You're going to have to go through a medical examination. Okay, we want to make sure that you're not going to bring anything costly or contagious to the Canadian public health. Financial constraints, as we talked about earlier, some programs you need to spend money. Other programs you need to have money. Canada wants to know, can you actually do this? So if you're coming as a skilled worker, you need to show you've got $13,000. If you're coming as a skilled trade, $13,000. If you're coming Canadian experience, you don't have to show any money, $3,500. And you don't have to show any money if you have a work permit. Okay, so this is all important to your whole file. You like the idea of studying? Well, you have to self-fund this. There's no scholarships, there's no bursaries available. You have to spend money in order to come forward. Financial constraints was the fourth barrier. The biggest barrier to migration that's happened for years is the ability to make a decision. If you're with us at the beginning, we said you're either pregnant or you're not. Immigrate or don't. Make a decision. Now, for some of you, you're going to be eligible to get a permanent visa 9 months from now, but you don't have to move for another 3.5 years. But your eligibility was perfect today. So that decision is yours and yours alone. This used to be all our barriers to migration, but now AI is going to be your biggest one. Your application could be vetted by a computer. It's not a live person anymore. So you've got to make sure you've got this perfected, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, making sure you're going through this. So where do you go from here? This is the last time this will be going up. Okay. So if you've not clicked on the bar at the top, this is the evaluation worksheet. It is 4 pages. Helen, if you want to click the slides, you're going to give us all your details. You're going to talk about your education and your work experience. We're going to ask about your finances. And if you have a spouse or partner, did you hear that? A partner? You have a spouse or partner, details there. Do not fill in the credit card information here, or you will be charged full price. You're going to go to the website. You're going to click on there. You're going to apply the coupon. You're going to go through it. You do not need a PayPal account. If you do, that's one aspect. But go all the way through to the end, and that's when you put in your credit card information. It's private. It's safe. We don't get the credit card information. But the only way you can get the discount is through the website. So today's discount is 49 Canadian dollars. It's going to include your meeting and your private consultation. It's only good for a couple of days. But what's important is the code. March 49. There's no space here. It's one word, March 49, and you'll get the $49 at the discount at that point. When you go to the website, this is what you're going to see. And you're going to insert the code here, the coupon code, and then apply the changes and go through and make sure it just says 1. Approximate cost, we've done this several times today, about 29 pounds, 35 US dollars, 240 TT, 5.3 Jamaican, for 3,000 rupee. You see the price on the screen. We're going to get back to you in the next couple of days once your evaluation comes in, and we will send your evaluation report out to you. It's going to show you how you qualify. It's going to show you the dates and times I'm going to be able to meet you in United Kingdom. It's going to show you the dates and times I'm going to meet you in TT or Jamaica. All other countries, we do hold virtual meetings, okay? We said at the very beginning, everybody, we're human. People want everything to be fast, good, and cheap. It doesn't work that way. You can have 2 out of the 3. It can be fast and good, but it won't be cheap. It can be fast and cheap, but it won't be good. It can be good and cheap, but it won't be fast. We're going to help you go through this step by step, okay? Plain and simple. We're licensed, we're regulated, we're not going to do anything to jeopardize this. Back to the website, when you click the link at the top, it should bring you here. You've got an English form or you've got the French form. It's going to say it's $112. Don't worry about that. Click on the next screen. You pick English or French. This is where you pick either the business supplement, okay, if you're interested in knowing more, or you're going to pick the study supplement, okay? Add these to your file. These are static forms. You're going to have to hand fill these in and email them back with your form later, okay? There's no cost to add these ones on. When you get here, you're going to apply your coupon, apply, you're going to refresh, make sure it only says quantity 1, or you're going to be charged for 2. Put in your details, and everybody here, additional information. Everybody has received an email from us, and in the top right-hand corner, it says the date, and it should say your BMG reference number. If you can remember, put your reference number in there, and when you're emailing it back to us, put your reference number there. It's not the PayPal reference, it's your reference number from our company. From this point here, it'll get you the final pages, and either pay it through PayPal or pay it through Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Very safe going through that. We're going to help you, and we're not bothered what part of my country you want to come to. BC, Ontario, Alberta, Newfoundland, Labrador, Yukon Territory. I love my country. I'll help you come anywhere you can possibly go, but we will show you what you can and can't do. This is our mini web expo. We do have full web expos. They're approximately 5 hours. This was our condensed version, of which those guys like. For those that want to know more or watch this again, you'll get the YouTube link from us afterwards. Don't forget to give our YouTube link a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in learning more about the visa categories, on the 12th and 13th of April in the evening or afternoon, if you're in TT Jamaica, we do hold the Canada You Can Go. This is just about the visa. We don't have the videos on the provinces. We don't have our suppliers with us. It's just the visa categories. Quick, done, and dusted. We're looking to become your partner. It's all about your strategy and what you can and can't do. We do have 3 separate divisions: our employment division, our relocation division, and by far Helen's division. Without the visa, nothing else is going to happen. So don't think about planning your house in Victoria, British Columbia, unless you can actually get the visa. On the last Monday of every month, we do hold a private client webinar. So tomorrow night, just our clients, not people who've done the assessment, but people who are actually clients, we have a private webinar, and Helen and I and Donna will go through what's new and updated in terms of files and the different tips and tricks that are going on. I want to thank you for joining us today. When the webinar is done, it's going to ask you for a rating. That's for the software of the company. I'm not bothered about that. But please take some effort and time to go out. And if you did appreciate this, please give us a rating on Google reviews and Facebook reviews, because people like you who want to find out if this was good, legit, can see that the ratings are there and that it is a good thing to be doing. We need to talk. So we do that by an evaluation worksheet. Helen, I've got a surprise for you. You know the fireworks off the top of CN Tower? I can give you the fireworks when we end today's show, or I can give you the Canadian parody on gangster rap.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the Canadian parody on gangster rap.
Well, let's see what the chat room says. Who would like to see fireworks off the top of the CN Tower, or who would like to see the Canadian parody on gangster rap? We'll see what people say there. Rap. I with Helen. Rap. Fireworks. Oh, the parody. Wow, it's
pretty even. So maybe do
almost.
both.
Yeah, I might actually have to count this. Helen, anything further to add?
No, thanks for joining us today. Hope everyone's found it useful. But the evaluation worksheet really is the starting point to let us find out whether you are going to qualify for Canada.
Guess what we get on Thursday?
Snow.
We normally get, I didn't get the discount in time.
Oh.
People, it's automated system. There's nothing we can do about it. Your discount is available for the next 48 hours. Do it by all means. We're going to send an email to show you one last time what this is all about. But we're going to do, how many have been here for the whole thing? Okay, so if you remember the running across Canada with the Olympic torch, now we have the bilingual version coming up. But I think what I'm going to do is, okay, Amanda just came in and handed me a note and said Gangster Rap 1. So I'm going to be doing the Gangster Rap. Let's cancel that. We'll do that one. And then we're going to be doing the bilingual version of the Across Canada. It's a brilliant song. It was, I believe, because it is important, because if you want to come to Canada, you can believe. So everybody, you're getting the Canadian parody on gangster rap. Please enjoy this. We'll see you soon. Get your evaluations back to us. Thank you. Good luck. God bless. And don't forget to give us a rating, please. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
As I walk down the alley in a hoodie to Tim's, I think it's nice outside, but realize it's -10. Cause I've been acclimatized for so long that no matter what the weather is, I never get cold. And I ain't ever seen a forecast that made me worry. Dressed like it's summer in a -30 flurry. I'm the kind of hoser all the homies wanna be like band knees outside, but they're never gonna freeze. Cause I've been spending most our lives living in Canadian paradise, playing stick puck on the ice, living in Canadian paradise. You can never be too polite, living in Canadian paradise. All I gotta say is friggin' right. Living in Canadian paradise. Look at the situation when you're Canadian. You can't step outside without getting refrigerated. So I gotta go out in a plain tee. I could never let the weather get the best of me. Full blizzards after flurries, knocking out the power. Y'all would probably worry, been out a couple hours. Everybody's tripping, panicking and stressing. I never even noticed I was outside sledding. They say I gotta learn to dress better when it's freezing, but when you're a Canadian, this weather feels PG. I guess I'm built a little different from the other folks, so I ain't even wear a coat when the others froze. Why are we so fine with freezing? I suppose we're just a different breed. Been spending most our lives living in Canadian paradise, playing stick puck on the ice, living in Canadian paradise. You can never be too polite, living in Canadian paradise. All I gotta say is friggin' right, living in Canadian paradise.
There comes a moment when my heart must stand alone on this lonely path I've chosen, like a house that's not a home. Mais quelquefois quand j'en ai assez, que je songe à tout abandonner, tu veux que je sois ce que je suis. Je fonce alors je vis. I believe in the power that comes from a world brought together as one. I believe together we'll fly. I believe in the power of unite. This is the moment we have dreamed of all our lives. Will be the change we wish from others, to stand tall for what is right. J'ai au fond de moi la certitude que la terre entière m'ouvre les bras. Elle qui m'encourage, du nord au sud, rien ne m'arrêtera. J'imagine une force invincible, la beauté d'un monde uni. J'imagine que l'on peut voler, j'imagine cette force une réalité. I believe the time is right now to stand tall and make the world proud. I believe together we'll fly. I believe in the power of unite. I believe in the power of unite. J'imagine, 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 j'imagine le meilleur en moi. I believe, I believe, I believe in, I believe, I believe in. J'imagine, 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 j'imagine le meilleur en toi. I believe, I believe, I believe in you. I believe together we'll fly. I believe in the power of love. J'imagine une force invincible, la beauté d'un monde uni. J'imagine que l'on peut voler. I believe in the power. J'imagine toi et moi. J'imagine. Je crois en toi et moi. J'imagine cette force.